Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
So is email the bane of your existence?
Hate it. Can't stand it.
Was there a time that you couldn't wait for the
Nope.
notification to just ding and you're like, oh, I got email?
No, and do you want to know why I don't like email?
Of course.
Okay, so I'm 55, and I think I'm of that generation because I watched email come in, and I saw people's workday change to, instead of being productive and getting something done and accomplishing things, I saw them going, oh, well, I gotta spend 2 hours checking my emails. Well, that's 2 hours you could have done something else. It just turned into a lot of busy work, and I don't like busy work. It's kind of like I don't like clutter. And we'll talk about the workstation here. Although I'm trying to help clean it, I'm trying to help clean it because
I was telling you, our studio's been busy lately, and there's stuff stacked up everywhere in here today.
That little pile of chocolate-covered raisins.
Oh,
I already got rid of those. They're gone. So I'm cleaning things up.
You didn't know there was a memo, an email that was sent out about the chocolate-covered raisins.
It's actually mice.
So you didn't know they're not mice.
No, I did not. But email to me has turned into just busy work. And I know people that will spend 2 hours of their work day. First thing they do when they get to work in the morning.
I'm putting my hand up, by the way.
Yep, is go through emails. And most of it is to do what?
Delete.
Yes. Spam, advertising.
My number one
stuff that's not important
for the future for AI is to help me with my email.
So you're going to turn AI over to making important decisions? Because there are some decisions that come. I mean, there are things you need in email,
but there's still a lot of stuff that gets through filters and things.
But I have a super secret double probation email that I'm like, okay. If you need to get a hold of me, send me.
Right.
Well, I mean, usually shoot me a text. Or it had gotten so bad that I tell people to, hey, when you shoot me an email with what I need to read or the information I need or a contract, text me and tell me you sent it, because that way I won't miss it.
Right.
Because some things pop into spam, or when you're bulk deleting crap, it's easy to accidentally delete something.
I have deleted many things that I shouldn't have deleted, because you get in this like delete, and you just start going, you're rapid deleting, right? You're just like getting rid of stuff. So I have.
That's why I don't like email.
9 email accounts, I think now. And
I think I know 6 of them.
6. Unfortunately, you do. And what's so funny about it is that some people have me in there at 6 different email addresses, so they send the same email to 6 different places. which I know what they're doing. They're like making sure that I'm going to get it right. But it irritates me when I go to the next email box. I'm like, no, Steve sent me the same email.
Oh, no, it wasn't me.
One.
I don't do that. No, it wasn't me.
I know. I'm just using you because I don't want to throw other people under the bus. But
feel free. Throw them under the bus.
Anyway, so that does frustrate me.
See, that's why it's like, okay, shoot me a text. Let me know you sent me something, and then I'll check it out.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I
or if it's something you want to discuss, instead of sending an email, why don't you call me? I like to hear your voice.
Have you?
Give me a call.
So I'm just thinking about from the 90s to now, right? So in the early 90s, when AOL comes out, and when you got an email that said you got mail. That's right. It actually said that. There was this male voice that said you got mail. And it was like an earworm.
Forever.
Your ear would actually, at least mine would like, oh, I got email?
Yeah.
Oh, this was just so cool.
And immortalized in a certain Meg Ryan movie.
Oh, yeah. And all that stuff, right? But it was one of those things, and now I wish I could take my email client and make it physical and skip it across a river, because it drives me insane. it literally is the bane of my existence. Thousands of emails a day, and I'm sure I delete 95% of them.
And now you're like I am, and you do a lot of stuff on your phone.
Not as much as you think,
really?
Though. I mean, I'm not a big phone. I'm not a fan of using the phone. I use it out of necessity.
Right. Well, like I said, if my phone screen was bigger, I would use my phone probably 99% of the time but it's screen size for me.
Yes,
So.
That's exactly right. So, and trying to type with two thumbs.
Although I just got this new offer in for an upgrade, and now it's like a kind of a tablet Chromebook thing from Samsung where you can mirror your phone and your tablet, and it's kind of cool. I might have to look at that.
They've had that for a little while.
I know, but it's now functional.
Yeah, in fact, you can mirror your phone to your computer screen nowadays. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think
this is a functional version, though, because there were some constraints before.
Sure.
But my question is, though, do you have your notifications on or off?
Most of them, no. I have most of my notifications turned off.
Yeah, because that would drive me. I don't even get text messages.
But even with that, I still have. I mean, at any given time, I'm just holding my phone up right now.
I'm like, I don't need.
I mean, these are all the notifications that are pending on my phone right now, and I just cleared them off like 8 minutes ago, right before we came on the air. So it's still significant.
You probably average about 3 or 4 a minute.
It's insane. If I had this thing turned on right now, all it would do is ding,
ding, ding,
nonstop. So I was in a meeting.
Can't do that.
Last night at the end of the day, and
when do you sleep?
At normal times.
Yeah, but your end of the day, it's like I'm meeting at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, but I'm talking about 5 o'clock yesterday. So. But yeah, I was in this meeting. I forgot to silence my phone, and after like 2 minutes, I'm like, I have to turn this off because the phone rang twice in that period, and it just kept dinging nonstop.
Come on, Marlo, church rules.
Got to turn it off.
Turn it off.
I agree. I always turn it off when I go into meetings because it's just too disruptive.
Now, do you turn yours off so you're not distracted by it, or do you just put it to vibrate?
I turn it. I don't turn it off. I don't even turn it to vibrate. I just turn that off too. So there's no because the vibration too. I mean that's a distraction too. It'll vibrate over to the side all the time. I just don't even want to look at it. I want to pay attention.
But you have a watch.
I do have a watch,
and you get the notifications on your watch.
The only notification to my watch is text and Slack.
Slack.
So we use Slack for inter-office communication. So if Slack goes off, on my watch, then I know it's important, right? Texting would be secondary to that because not a lot of people actually I don't give my phone number out to a lot of people. Not that it doesn't ring all the time, but I don't. And because of that, I would say I probably average like you in text. I can
share it right now if you.
So that's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't mind when people call me.
Well, so this is what I was getting to, by the way. It's kind of funny that we've gone from the 90s to where we are now, where we make appointments to make phone calls.
Or video calls.
Whatever you're doing for a call, right?
Zoom.
I find it ironic that we just don't pick up the phone and call people anymore. We used to do that.
We also used to have everybody's number memorized.
Yes.
We don't do that either.
I don't know if I even know 4 numbers anymore.
I think I know 4 or 5.
I know my mom's.
That's important.
And I know one number here, and I don't even know my other office numbers.
Oh, jeez.
If you asked me like what my Bismarck office number was, I couldn't give it to you, or my other companies couldn't give it to you. Don't know. I have no clue.
I remember the number I grew up with. I remember one of my best friends from high school because I remember the mnemonic trick back. You remembered the pattern on the phone. No, with the punch keys.
Or whatever. Yeah, you had punch keys. I had dial.
Well, I remember we started with dial, but I remember my friend's pattern. So doot in row up here over there. So I remember that number just because of the pattern. Don't ask me what it is unless I'm looking at a keypad. Then I can give you the number.
Yeah. But yeah,
I know mine.
We don't even use our.
I know my wife's.
We don't even use our brain power anymore to remember phone numbers.
Took me a long time to remember my wife's. I'm just saying, it's years.
Well, and this is the thing. I mean, now we can just say, when I'm in my car, I can say, call Steve. And it'll call you, or text Steve.
You mean I could say call Marlo?
And it will text you.
Wow.
I know. It's kind of cool, right? So, don't always, if it looks like I'm rambling on for a long time in a text to you, know I'm in my car texting you because I'm talking.
Text to talk. See, I use that feature all the time.
I think it's great.
Because I wind up texting a lot and just different work and people and stuff. And I use talk to text endlessly. Best feature ever.
I had a 2-hour drive the other evening, and I spent the entire 2 hours just catching up on text and phone calls.
And
I loved it. I just love road trips because
you don't have to read text because it
plays back in
play
the car.
It back for you in the car.
And it asks, do you want to respond? Yes, I do. Steve, I don't like you very much. Thanks for texting me.
All right. Just because I ate your chocolate-covered raisins.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You should have left me one.
I know. Well, I'm trying to clean up.
I appreciate that. You're going to start eating the paper next? Because there's a lot of that on the desk.
Hey, I was reading an article a couple of weeks back about a lady who ate toilet paper.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
let's not go there.
Yeah. It was new. Wasn't used.
That's bad.
I had to research it and find out.
Yeah. That's probably what everybody did is
like 40 pounds a year.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, she went to town.
Wow. Well, by the way, thanks for joining us on the Tech Ranch today.
Is that where we are?
Yeah. Right before we went on the air, you were talking about your email, and just like, we'll just keep going.
I didn't even bring it up. Somebody in your office went, you hate email.
Yeah. And you do.
Well, she said I hate technology. I don't hate technology. I love technology.
Yeah, so you have an 8 gig a month plan on your phone.
I do.
And you find that sufficient?
For me? But I work off of Wi-Fi a lot too.
I'm only laughing because I know it's for you, but maybe not for the significant person.
Right.
In your life,
and while this last month we happen to have gone like 10% left with 10 days left.
Yeah. So what do you do in that instance?
I shut my data off.
That's it? Simple as that? Interesting. Well, I don't.
The Tech Ranch. Get back to discovering the latest in technology with the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So I'm curious what happens when you hit your 8 gig limit.
Phone shuts off.
It doesn't just shut off.
Well, the data. I've got it set up in my phone, so when I hit that 8, and now I also get rollover because I don't have unlimited because I don't like it to slow down without telling me it's slowing down, and when I need it to not slow down, so that if you're looking at Google Maps and finding someplace, you're 4 blocks behind. You've been there.
Yeah, I've been there. I was just talking about this to you a little while ago. Yeah.
And so when I want it, I want it. When I need it, I need it. And but I've got it a feature in there because I get rollover because I don't ever go over. And
so
then
rollover means like if you use 6 in 1 month, then you get to use the next month.
It just rolls over to the next month.
So then you now have 10 gigs instead of 8.
Gotcha. So I'm usually always banking a little bit. Okay. And for some reason this last month, my wife went way over. And so it just, I have it set up so it shuts off so I don't get data charges beyond my plan.
So is that, and I'm only asking so that people understand what happens, if you don't have a big enough plan for your usage, right? So if you go over your 8 gig and you leave it on, you get an overage charge for when that happens, right?
Right.
Interesting.
If you don't have the feature to suspend your data, the cellular data side of things.
I'm guessing that most people would not like to have their data turned off at a certain point.
Here's the question. Is it because people don't live within their means? I mean, think about it this way. How often are you on your cellular data versus Wi-Fi? I mean, I've got my phone set up. I'm on Wi-Fi all the time. I've got Wi-Fi in my house, the office. the radio station, my other office.
And if you're out having coffee with friends or whatever, it'd be easy just to hop on the local Wi-Fi there too, right?
How many people do that?
I don't know. I think
a lot don't.
I agree with that.
It's like, hey, I'm walking down the street on my TikTok, and okay, those are the videos where you see people walk into light poles.
But they're
or fountains. I like the fountain ones.
I have actually witnessed the fountain one and the manhole one.
Oh, you saw a manhole one?
Yes.
Like drop right down.
New York City. Walking down the street, and all of a sudden this guy in front of me, on his phone, right, just falls right in. I'm like, what the heck just happened there? And I realized that there's an open manhole here. I don't even know why the cover was off. They didn't have anything around it at all. Somebody pulled the cover off, but he just had no clue.
Okay, somebody doesn't pull the cover off of those. Those are heavy.
They're heavy. So I'm not really sure how that happened, but but just disappeared just like that. And all of a sudden there's just a crowd of people. Fortunately, it wasn't a crowd of people with their video cameras out, there was a crowd of people trying to help him out of there.
How long ago was this?
This was 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So
because today, nobody's helping them.
You know what? I never thought about that.
Everybody would have their camera out.
Yeah, because it would be a viral video now. Yeah. So it was interesting. But at that time,
how deep was the manhole?
I don't think it was real deep, like 8 or 10 feet, which is deep enough.
Yeah.
But if you're dropping down, and there's the ladder that's there, so I'm guessing I'm guessing that he was able to slow himself down a little bit on the thing. But
the rats broke his fall.
He was banged up a little bit when he came out, though, but no broken bones or anything. But he was.
Did he still have his phone in his hand, or did he drop his phone?
Funny. I do not know the answer to that. So that's funny.
Right.
That's funny.
And then Marlo, you're right behind him going, hey, hold my beer.
Well, and I don't know if they still make this app, but there was an app at one time, and maybe there were a few of these, that you could be on your phone, but it activated your camera, and through your camera, you could see that where you were walking. Right.
Oh.
So it would actually you could be working on your phone in front of you, but there was a little view shed, a little camera shot on the right-hand side of your phone screen.
Kind of like the picture-in-picture when you're video chatting.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I thought that was hilarious that we have actually gotten to the point where you can't even watch where you're walking outside, that you actually have to have your device activated to help you with that.
Oh.
Kind of funny.
Again, I love technology, but
that is actually one of my pet peeves, though, when I'm in crowds, and it even happens around here. And, a great example, we have an event in Mandan, North Dakota called Buggies and Blues, and we have like 500 cars that show up, and I'm guessing 25,000 people show up to this thing over the course of the day. So it's pretty crowded in that area. And you'll get people who are looking at the cars, but you also get a group of people who are on their phones, and they just walk. They don't pay any attention to where they're going. If you didn't move out of their way, they would just run into you. And why is there that expectation that if I'm on my phone that you are going to move out of my way?
Oh, I'm not. I'm going to run you right over.
So I've bumped a few people on occasion.
Ah, I see.
So I'm not quite to your level yet, but there are times, especially when they're not even looking. I'm like, as they're walking by, or I'll skim them as they walk by me, and then they just get a little startled or whatever,
Maybe it's time for walking sidewalks, like at the airport where you get the walking lane and the people that are actually in a hurry lane. You should have that on public sidewalks for
the cell phone lane. If you're on your cell phone, you are only allowed to be in this lane.
If you're a normal functioning human being, then you can be on this lane.
Somebody's listening to us right now, is in government, thinking, that's a good idea. We're going to have lanes on sidewalks now.
Crap, our taxes are going up again.
We need to stop bringing these things up.
The one that drives me nuts, though, and you're not supposed to text and drive, folks.
Yeah.
And that's why the audio feature is on phones or through your car.
Right.
And use the voice to text.
Yeah.
That, not a problem.
Even though it's not exact, it's still.
I've sat here and you apparently have the air conditioning on, your windows rolled up, the radio's turned up, or you're listening to a really loud video on your phone because we've gone through 3 light changes and you haven't moved yet.
Right.
And so, you know how you bump into people on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
I would love to do that in their car. I'll push you out of the...
The exact opposite happens of that too. There's not picking on my hometown here again, but in Mandan, North Dakota, there is a 4-way stop by our post office, and it's coming down Collins Avenue, which is a pretty steep hill, right? If you sit out there in 5 minutes,
Especially in the winter when it's icy.
you will see somebody just drive right through it, and every one of them has their head down.
Oh.
People just drive right through the stoplight, or right through the stop.
How many
the
of those
intersection.
are younger people, though?
Most of them are.
Because there's a school on that road.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, yeah, that's what's scary about it,
that's
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from a safety perspective with the kids, and then who's actually...
I've sat at that intersection many times and just watched somebody drive right through it. Like it doesn't even, like the stop signs don't even exist.
And not when it's icy.
Not when it's icy. You go up there right now, it'll happen in the next 5 minutes. I'm surprised there aren't more accidents at that. I think what happens is that they drive through, and people who are thinking that they're next, they're just courteous and just wait for them to drive through it. You know, they slam their brakes or whatever. Well, the good thing is everybody else has stopped, so it's not like you're going to be going out of there at 30 miles an hour. But
I had a niece one time that she'd taught, or her mom had taught her what the stoplight lights mean. So red meant stop.
Yep.
And green meant go.
Right.
And yellow meant go faster, mommy.
That was in a movie as well.
It was.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
The Starship, or the Starman.
Yeah, Starman.
Was it called Starman?
Yeah, Starman.
Okay. There you go.
I was thinking Starship Troopers for a second. I'm like, no, not that one.
Well, we're going to get into the Galaxy Z Fold.
Ooh.
I know.
See, I was just talking about new phones and pairing and
we're going to talk about
tablets
that in just a few seconds. And we're also going to get into Tinder using AI. So now you're going to be able to date using artificial intelligence.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
Of the Tech Ranch as we explore the cutting edge of tech with Marlo and Steve. For more exclusive content, visit thetechranch.com.
So I think we should just we'll get into the Galaxy Z Fold here in just a little bit, but I'm fascinated by this Tinder AI scenario. So I've never used Tinder. I actually was going to sign up for it one time a couple years ago because I was curious about how it works. But as soon as I got into it,
I'm not judging. I'm not.
Well,
judging.
I got into it because I wanted to see how it worked. Because people just swipe left, swipe right. I'm married, so of course I am not on that site.
Well, that's a running joke for a lot of things in society. Swipe left, swipe right.
Right.
Yeah,
it's just kind of this thing, right? And I was just curious about how it worked, but I realized I couldn't join anonymously or whatever just to see how it works. So I don't have a working knowledge of how Tinder works. And I was going to just sign up, and I'm like, well, everybody in my little town here is going to know that I'm out wanting to date now. So this is not a good sign either. And Alice is probably going to be, why are you on Tinder? Because her hairdresser told her that she's
Guru of Geek, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, exactly. So I figured that wasn't a good scenario for me, so I didn't do it. But I'm familiar with what Tinder is, and so I just I find it fascinating that AI is getting involved. So first of all, of course, like with Snapchat, filters, all these other things. I mean, you can take you literally can take years off of your face, or you can add years if you want to. If you're 20 and want to be 35, bang, just like this, it can make you look older or younger or whatever. So
I'd be 27 again. That was a good year for me.
Okay.
I'd do 27.
I'm thinking like 17-year-olds who maybe want to date 30-somethings, want to add a couple of years to their facial features, whatever. Too.
There's a cougar app.
Oh my goodness!
Kitty 1, 2, 3. What's that app?
Boy, you really got excited there for a second. Still are the way it looks. But you have AI that's able to actually make you look younger or older. So there's already, to me, this kind of misinformation, distrust of the app or whatever. Because everybody's probably got younger folders or images of themselves, and I think a lot of people probably use younger images. I mean, if you take one from yesterday, it's already younger than what you are today, right? So
go and look at, not so much with Facebook, but go take a look at some of the business photos. Like I use LinkedIn for work a lot, and I'm like, how old's that picture?
Yes.
It's
I
like,
run into that too. But
it was like 20 years ago, and LinkedIn wasn't even around yet.
But even the Tech Ranch photo, there's a photo of me from 10 years ago from the Tech Ranch. I still, and I don't have anything to do with this.
You had four hairs back then.
Still gets circulated. I did have 4 hairs back then. Yeah. Still gets circulated all the time.
Really?
So you can't even put the blame on a person a lot of times. You have to, it's out there, right? But if it's your profile, if you're actually doing this and you put it up there, like you said, on LinkedIn or Tinder or whatever, you're not being real honest with that, first of all, I guess. And now you have artificial intelligence that can make you look even better if you wanted to. So, and then on top of it, so now AI will write your profile for you.
See, that's not where I thought you were going with the Tinder AI stuff, because I was thinking weird science. It's like, we're going to create the perfect woman.
So, right now,
don't forget to put the bra on your head. That's the important part.
That's right. I think that, so I would imagine that most people don't know what to write about themselves. But they could probably say, I'm 6'2", I'm this weight, I have whatever kind of color hair.
Unless you're Brad Paisley.
Yes.
On MySpace.
Right.
Yeah.
Who does a great job, right?
Love that song. Well, but think of that song and how much at the time he was making jest of how people lied on their profiles on social media.
Right.
And look where it is now.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. It's gotten worse.
Yeah, it's gotten worse.
A lot worse.
So, but you can put your likes, your dislikes, whatever, and then AI will make a profile for you out of that, which I can see where that would be helpful and maybe even help with the truth a little bit, because these are your likes and dislikes. I do this with email all the time with artificial intelligence. I'll put in, like I'm writing an email to you, I'll just put the highlights of what I want the email to say, and then it actually crafts the email from that, which I think is fantastic because it saves me an unbelievable amount of time. So
it puts in the fill.
That's correct. And
see, now when it comes to email, that's the part I don't like. It's the fill. Just get to the point.
Yeah, and you can put in if you want it compelling or funny or whatever. And I would imagine that you can probably do the same thing here. Heck, I would imagine you could just go to ChatGPT and do the same thing right now.
Right.
Copy it over and put it in Tinder, and away you go. That's what I would do if I were going to do that, because I don't have a lot of great things to say about myself, so I'm going to need an artificial intelligence to make me sound better.
Okay, so there's 2 kinds of people, I think, that are out there. There are those who lie, just totally embellish because for whatever reasons. A lot of times it's either malicious because it's a scam, or somebody's got a really bad self-esteem and they're lying about themselves or the other group of people. And this is where I see some value. How do you talk about yourself? There's a lot of people that are a little sheepish about talking about themselves, and tooting their own horn, which, who wants to do that? Because how do you come across without sounding braggadocious? Right. But I've got this list of accomplishments, but you don't want to talk about them because then you're the jerk who's bragging about yourself. Right. So people are very poor at crafting that statement. So I could see an AI place for that easily.
I really do too. So I think it's actually
craft me a humble story about my profile and my accomplishments that I don't sound like a jerk.
And you can put stuff. I love to cook. I love to garden, but really hate mowing the yard. You can do stuff like this. And
I don't do windows.
There you go.
Or dust. I hate dusting.
So you can put those things in there, and it might. And
don't like knickknacks because you have to dust them.
If you said something that like make this statement funny about the fact that I don't like the dust and because I don't like knickknacks, it would craft something that might be kind of humorous that you could put in there about.
What do you mean Steve vacuums in the nude? Wait a minute. Who wrote that?
Please get that image out of my head. La, 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 la. Oh, my goodness.
Wait, be careful with AI, right?
I can't get it out of my head. Oh, my goodness.
I'm not vacuuming now.
Yeah, but you put it in there. I'm just saying, you put it in there. You couldn't have even said with underwear on. You had to say
that'll be
naked.
my robot. My robot will vacuum.
Does your robot vacuum naked, though, is what I want to know.
Do robots wear clothes?
They have a covering on them.
Wow.
Otherwise, you'd see all the electronic circuitry.
Yeah. So
I would
is that
call
clothes
that,
or
sure.
is that like a skin?
Good question.
Robots are naked. There you go.
Robots are naked.
Yeah.
I'm going to start dressing my robot. Speaking of which, as you know, I'm heading out of town here again, but
Did you track down the new Astro replacement yet?
I'm gonna get that ordered.
Okay.
Have them send that up to us because it's time now for us to start playing with that robot. I think.
Because you got to get it ready for CES.
There's that. And there's also the fact that, when I need another diet root beer delivered to my office, I can just send the robot to get it.
Oh, geez. Can't you just send Alex?
Alex? Who's Alex?
The golden retriever from the Strohs.
Oh, yes.
Alex, go get me a...
I need to get a golden retriever, obviously,
or
too.
a golden retriever or a robot.
Yeah.
No, I always think, you bring that up, it's like, hey, I want somebody to go get me my root beer. And I always think about that kid laying on the couch who calls his grandmother on the house phone. You can see her in the background. Hey, Grandma, can I have another grape soda? Can you get me another grape soda? You're 15 feet from the fridge, kid. Get off the couch.
Right, exactly. So
Marlo and his robot.
So we're on the nicer side of, and I guess this isn't so bad either, but this is really interesting. So there's another dating app. I know you're surprised by that. There's a lot of dating apps. I know, there's two.
There's two?
Two. New AI dating apps like Teaser.ai, Teaser, for example, give users the ability to chat with an AI version of a potential match before swiping left or right.
So now we're getting into the whole avatar world.
Even relationship app Flame, Flamme, has asked a new AI-powered Ask Me Anything tool for users to receive dating advice. So I don't know. What do you think about actually having a conversation with a potential match before you have a conversation with the potential match?
Remember that movie that came out a few years ago and, there was just a sequel? Avatar?
Yes.
So is that what we've become, is dating avatars now? My avatar is going to date your avatar before... I'm not kidding. I am dead serious, Marlo.
I don't know.
But seriously,
I'm laughing about this, but I'm hearing what you're saying.
That's what it's becoming, right? You see where this is going.
If you're physically typing in a chat window, asking questions, and there's an AI version of the person of a potential chat that's answering these questions, I mean, how do you train that AI to be who you are? That's the first thing I want to know. You're looking at me with this blank stare right now. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, are there like things you put on your head now that transfer your emotions, your whatever, or is there just like a series of questions that the AI asks you when you're signing up for it, and then it derives answers from these questions? No, I don't like cold soup. But yes, I like cats. Hate dogs. I don't like the dust because I don't like knickknacks. I mean, these are the things
I don't like knickknacks because I don't like the dust.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying.
You got dust
that.
around those things.
Yeah, you do. It's kind of a.
You don't like gazpacho?
But I do like ice cream.
Okay.
So I mean, I do.
You said you didn't like cold soup.
Yeah, I like cold and hot cheese though.
So do you microwave cheese and
in between two slices of bread? Of course.
Oh, see, I'll put it on a plate and just microwave it. Just to
by
melt
itself.
It. Yeah, like there's cheese slice or
what does that do?
Like Colby Jack or the shredded cheese, just it melts.
And then what? You dip it with
it.
Just straight up?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I've never tried this before.
I'll have to put it on my profile.
You'll have to do that.
AI can explain it because I can't. I just like it.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy. So yeah, we're going to dive into this a little bit more. I'm just saying. I'm curious what the chat would look like.
Okay, now I'm visioning diving into melted cheese, which brings something entirely different.
Sorry,
a big pot of Velveeta.
I didn't think that's where we were going with that, but
I didn't think so either, but I went there. Sorry.
I don't know what to think about this. But you're exactly right.
Yeah.
If I have...
It's avatars dating avatars. I'm like, where's the real people? Where's the real personal interaction?
So then the AIs are going to say, hey, you two should go on a date. I mean, is that what's going to happen here?
Well, okay,
are the AIs going to actually text the potential match and say, hey,
do you
Steve's interested in you, Wendy. You should go out on a date with him.
Do you circumvent dating? So your avatars will date, and your avatars, hey, maybe they date around, you never know, and then go, yeah, it's been a good 2 years, and you two should meet and get married now. Really?
Wow.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, dating's expensive. It's time consuming. It's kind of a pain in the butt. And that's been a lot of the explosion of the dating apps is like, where do you meet people?
I wish I could remember this movie. I just watched it a couple of weeks ago.
You've got mail.
And it's two robotic clones of people. They have outlawed them, but but some people have them and they go to work for them. And these two people use their clones to go out on dates for them.
Oh, wait a minute. I saw a preview for that a while ago.
And they both end up dating, the robots end up dating each other because usually it's like the robot and another person. And then when it's supposed to get a little more intimate, then it's just like then the other person comes in and of course it's a little awkward and weird because
it's a lot awkward and
weird. They've gotten to know the robot and here now there's the real person and they're really not like what the robot is. But, anyway, these two robots end up, getting together and falling in love and all this other stuff. And the two real people are chasing them across the country because they're working for them as well. So they're losing income and everything else. It's hilarious. Yeah.
What happened to you? Well, our avatars eloped.
The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 12.
Ranch. Let's rejoin Marlo and Steve as they guide us through the fascinating world of technology.
We need these commercial breaks to be a little longer.
Why?
Eating a double cheeseburger and some French fries and what do we have? 3.5 minutes?
You scarfed.
I did. You did too. You even got a little Frisch's tartar sauce.
I've never had that before.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good stuff.
It was. It's like you don't find it in the local grocery store, though, do you?
So Frisch's, not to give you the history of this, but Frisch's actually had Big Boys.
Oh, okay.
It's a family name. And then they applied for a national tartar sauce day like 3 or 4 years ago. And that's how we have a relationship with Frisch's now. And they send us tartar sauce occasionally. It's pretty good with French fries, isn't it?
It was.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah,
I've never had tartar sauce on French fries. Well, mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Ranch.
Yeah.
Not
tartar sauce. It's not terrible.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. If you have a good tartar sauce.
You got to have a good tartar
sauce. That's right. It's not all tartar sauces. So, yeah. I don't know if you can get Frisch's around here in the Bismarck, Mandan.
I have not seen it in a store.
So, but I'm sure people listening to us are going, hey, we have it in our store. But we don't have it here. So, Frisch's, Bismarck, Mandan, North Dakota, would like maybe to have some of your stuff in one of our stores.
Or you can just stop by your office because you order it by the case.
That's true.
So
you could sample it here.
Yeah.
Or maybe we should sell it out the front door.
Could.
You just gave me an idea, actually.
Uh-oh.
We should sell the National Day stuff that we represent. We should have like a marketplace right in front of our store.
Like a National Day cafe/store?
I'd call it marketplace. The National Day Marketplace. Featuring all the different products that we do for National Days.
How many products are there?
We have.
I've never sat down and because there's multiple products per day, so I've never sat down and.
Well, and when you say products, I mean it's lemon meringue pie or ice cream day or whatever, right? So, yeah, I mean there's 1,500 national days.
That's a lot.
So it'd be a lot of products. There's a lot of ice cream days. That would be really good. We could have an ice cream cooler up front.
And whiskey days. There's a lot of whiskey days.
There's a lot of alcohol days.
Yes.
Just think of the great things we could make with whiskey and ice cream.
Oh.
Or rum and ice cream, right?
Brandy and ice cream.
See? There's all kinds of stuff here. We're getting off topic now. But we're talking about
dating.
It's
a good topic.
We're talking about dating, so maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still kind of blown away by this avatar thing.
The avatars will date. You don't have to date anymore.
How do you know? I mean, do they give you a thing? Like if you're chatting with a potential match on one of these apps, right? Are they showing you that it's the AI that you're chatting with?
Why are you asking me?
I'm just throwing it out in the ether right now.
Oh, okay.
That's all. These are just questions that I have about this. Because when you have a conversation with somebody and, it's going well or whatever, or not going well, you kind of know that right away. How do you determine that chatting to an AI? I don't know.
I can think about this, though. AI is never going to have bad breath.
That's true.
No chronic halitosis there.
That's true. Seems like a lonely world we're going into, though.
It is, and it's dating aside. We're social beings and crave social interaction.
Right.
How does that work when everybody's disengaging and your social is online?
Right.
I don't know where that's going, and I don't know if I want to know where that's going.
Well, the biggest part of dating is getting to know people, right? And if you're taking that element away, the ability to chat and have conversations or whatever with an actual physical being, now that we're going to be chatting with AIs, I don't even know how to react to this. I really don't.
The other side is from a productivity aspect. I mean, look at how much time and effort and money and expense and things that go into dating, and I don't have to do that. My avatar can do that. How much money did I save? How much time it's like, I don't need to go out on this date this weekend. I'm going fishing with my friends.
Sure.
Okay.
And my avatar will take care of that part of it for me. Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Well, I think about this even after you're married. I'm like, hey, I have no interest in going to your cousin's wedding, so I'm going to send my avatar. Come on, that could be a thing. I'm in for that.
Yeah, but I think Alexa has the aha feature already, so you can just set that up. Why are you laughing?
Well, it's like the whole clone thing. It's send your avatar. I don't have to go to the wedding. I'm going to the game.
Let me tell you how my day was.
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just
I could go on vacation. My wife would never know. She wouldn't know I was gone.
That's right. I'm such a fan of.
She may prefer it.
Artificial intelligence for it. Yeah, she might actually. I have a funny feeling mine would too. But I'm such a fan of artificial intelligence with the productivity side of things. And you're kind of getting to the productivity side of things with dating here now too. But I just don't know how I feel about this because I think you're right. We're social creatures. And I think part of the process is getting to know people and things. And I don't know how an AI helps you with that. I just don't know.
Come on. Think back to your high school days. How awkward. I know this a while. How awkward was that first kiss?
What first kiss?
Okay, well, in your case, think about how awkward that first. Your avatars already took care of that. There's no awkward here.
High school days and a first kiss. You obviously do not know me well.
I don't have to worry about a prom date. Yeah,
that's true.
My avatar is going to prom.
Wow. All right.
There's a lot of places that could go.
I'm putting these pages about AI and dating apps over to the side here because I want to move on to other stuff.
Really?
Not really, but
Really?
It's interesting, right? All right. Voyager and Airbus will operate Starlab private space station via transatlantic joint venture. So the International Space Station, right, been up for a long time. And so Voyager Space and Airbus Defense and Space are expanding their existing relationship via a new joint venture focused on the design, build, and operation of the Starlab commercial space station.
I'm just surprised it's been up as long as it has because Skylab didn't last that long.
So it's interesting that we now have things other than, I mean, these are commercial ventures that are going to actually put a lab into space.
That you can go hang out at for the weekend.
I think that'd be cool.
It would.
I'm waiting for the hotel. I think one of the hotel chains actually has some type of rights. I read about this a while back, like Hilton,
space on the moon.
Like Hilton or somebody already has plans to put an orbital around the world that is a hotel. So you would fly up there and stay there for the weekend and fly back. That would be an interesting hotel experience.
Yeah, I'm just going to go hang by the pool in outer space.
There's no pool.
How does that work?
Is that why you go to is that why you go to hotels, is for the pool experience? That's it?
Well, usually I go to a hotel for work, but occasionally I might get a vacation in.
Okay.
If you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology. The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
Welcome to the School for Startups Minute with Jim Beach.
This week we are talking about the new book, 10 Ways to Get Sued by Anyone and Everyone, trying to show you what not to do so you don't get sued. Today we're talking about the importance of having a written plan, not your business plan before you get started, but a written plan each and every year. I'll tell you why in just a second.
If you want to learn more about low-risk, zero-creativity entrepreneurship, please check out the full-length version of the School for Startups Minute at schoolforstartupsradio.com. The radio show and podcast won the Small Business Administration Media Award and features amazing guests, billionaires, millionaires, and their stories, thought leaders and their insights on leadership, personal growth and starting businesses, practitioners teaching best practices on SEO, net marketing, fundraising, and operations, all filtered through the knowledge that anyone can become a successful entrepreneur. Check out schoolforstartupsradio.com.
Most small businesses should be an LLC, a limited liability corporation. That prevents you from losing your house if the business gets sued. Well, if you don't update the book that comes with your new LLC every year, that liability can be punctured. Every year, you must be able to show that you had a meeting and talked about the business, including the plan. Make sure you update that book.
Get ready for Unriveted Radio on Supertalk 1270. If you love cars, if classics and customs are your passion, join Travis Feist, Rob McLeod, and their special guests, talking all things automotive in Bismarck, Mandan, every Saturday morning at 10 on Riveted Radio, presented by Dakota Customs on the Strip in Mandan, your full-service custom garage on Supertalk 1270 and the free Supertalk 1270 mobile app.
KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the View Community Credit Union studio.
Here's
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. GOP candidates fanning out to key states campaigning this weekend. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis campaigning in Iowa, and so is Vivek Ramaswamy. Later today, former President Trump will speak at a Republican event in South Carolina. ABC's Mary Alice Parks is in Columbia and says it comes just days after Trump was arraigned on 4 felony counts in the grand jury indictment into efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
Trump facing 4 new charges about his attempt to stay in power in the latest indictment: conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, specifically the January 6th certification of the results, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights to deprive people of their right to vote and have their votes be counted. Trump pleaded not guilty on all counts.
In Georgia, police say the husband of Amani Roberson has been charged with her murder. That after police say they located her body. Amani was last seen July 16th when she left her parents' home with her 2 youngest children. 2 days of peace talks being held in Saudi Arabia this weekend. The goal to end the war in Ukraine. But Russia is not participating, blaming Ukraine for attacking one of its oil tankers. Here's ABC's Ian Pannell, who's in Ukraine.
Russia claiming that it suffered another maritime drone attack overnight. Videos circulating online appear to show the moment a Russian oil tanker was struck in the Black Sea. Russian maritime authorities say the explosion punched a hole in the vessel's engine room. This, of course, comes a day after another attack on a Russian warship, also by what appears to be a sea drone, again captured in videos circulating online.
After the shooting of 2 police officers in Orlando on a manhunt, authorities say they located the suspect in a motel this morning. They say that the officers shot and killed him when he fired back. You're listening to ABC News.
Supertalk 1270, Bismarck area weather.
With your forecast, I'm Corey Hartman. For today, showers and thunderstorms with a high near 70. Tonight, showers and storms possible with a low around 57. Mostly sunny, breezy, and a high of 80 on your Sunday. Sunshine and 81 for Monday. More showers and storms by Tuesday. Breezy with a high near 81. Grandpa's barbecue sauce is perfect for summer grilling. Pick up a bottle at grandpa'sbbqshop.com.
Currently 69 degrees.
Millions estimate their benefits online, so they can do what they want offline. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
You care for the house, the kids, and our future. A Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Conservative talk without apology. The Regular Joe Show with Joe Gigante. Weekday evenings at 9 on Supertalk 1270 and the free Supertalk 1270 mobile app.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
So, yeah, the first space hotel plans to open in 2027.
You know, going from the dating thing to that, it's got to be a sandals.
That's pretty funny.
It's avatars in space is what it will be.
So it's an aerospace company is preparing for the advent of tourism in outer space. I'm just reading
2027.
2027.
So that's 4 years from
4
now?
years.
That's quick.
The Sacramento startup Orbital Assembly Corporation, AOC, has announced plans to open a space hotel by 2027.
I'd like to send AOC to space, but...
As the first of its kind, Voyager Station is slated to be a luxury resort designed to accommodate 280 guests and 112 crew members, complete with a restaurant, a bar, a concert hall, a gym, and even a cinema. Do you think you two will be the first group to play up there as well?
Maybe. Is it going to have a rooftop?
Well, they're opening in the sphere,
So is it going to be
in Vegas? There.
Well, so here's a better question. So, and I've seen this before on the hotels. So how do you put a hotel in space? But is it more like a cruise ship?
Well, that's when it announces the way
spaceship into space or a space station. Yep. So it's more like I think we're a ways from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
but you'd put a ship into space,
right?
So,
and that's exactly what it sounds like to me. Slated to be a luxury resort designed to accommodate 280 guests and 112 crew members. That sounds exactly like the ratio on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I see that being exactly how I see this. Are you gonna go in the Caribbean this weekend, or are you gonna go into outer space?
I'm gonna take the Caribbean.
Yeah, for a while anyway.
Yeah, for a while anyway.
Yeah. So, but that's the choice that we're gonna have right in the near future. Celestial Getaways. I'm just kind of reading through here. That's what they're calling them, Celestial Getaways.
You realize that's going to be a space on Wheel of Fortune, right? Congratulations, you just won an all-expense-paid trip to space.
To Voyager. Luxury accommodations include a cafe with space food, including space ice cream. The ice cream sandwich that melts in your mouth.
It'll be on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
It will.
Wouldn't that be hilarious? Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. I could see it already. Yeah.
Except it won't be Pat Sajak.
It won't be.
No, it'll be Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah. But I bet you're right.
Van will still be there.
I bet you're right, though. At some time in the future, you're going to be able to win a trip for two to
it's showing up on game shows.
Oh, my
goodness. It is going to show up on game shows.
That is so good. That is so good. So would you do this? Would you take a 2-day trip or 3-day trip to space?
I will take any trip that's not a 3-hour tour.
Okay.
That didn't end well.
I wonder how expensive this will be.
Yeah, Gilligan's Island didn't.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
Well, they're still there.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, those poor people.
No, I would go to space in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Now, there's a difference between space and space because there's 62 miles is the line. I forget what it's called, the line of demarcation that's where the gravity. So that's kind of the mark that they shoot for when you see these tourist rockets that go up, is they just hit that mark.
Right.
Now you're experiencing zero gravity.
Right.
This is actually into outer space and in orbit, and you're going to hang out there for a while.
Yeah.
We got to figure out the pool thing, though.
Well, it looks like they have some type of artificial gravity. I'm sure it'll be spinning or whatever.
Now, if you think about it, though, imagine the tan you'd get by the pool.
Oh, yes. There's nothing.
None of that ozone, pesky ozone to block the sun's rays. Don't get burned now.
Open air. Or not open air, but windows are literally your only filter.
So what do you need? SPF 1000?
My bald spot on my head will be red like right now. I will have to wear a cap.
Oh, it is red right now. They have nude beaches and nude resorts. That's another space too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Yeah, it'll be curious to see by that time. So that's 4 years from now.
You'd go, wouldn't you?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get to space. So
well, you work with NASA, so don't you have some pull?
I might have some here or there, but the thing is that
this is all private.
The era of being somebody who goes to space is right now there's like 579 Americans that have been into space. That number in the next 4 or 5 years is just not even going to be a thing to even count anymore. But are you just a visitor or are you an astronaut? They're going to have to kind of define the line a little bit.
Well, there's a TV commercial about I forget the product, but I'm an astronaut. You went up in gravity and came back down. Because the guy was still wearing his boots.
Right.
His astronaut boots. Right. I'm an astronaut now. No, you're not an astronaut. You're a space tourist.
That's exactly right. You floated for 8 seconds. And
hey, I might have an in for you. I got a really good friend who's friends with Richard Branson.
Oh, yeah.
So might get you.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Get you bumped up.
Virgin
the list.
Intergalactic, I'd be okay with that in a heartbeat.
He does it right.
Yeah, he does. Actually, he does. So that would be fun. Yeah, so I think that would be fun to do. Go to space in an asteroid to spend a couple days up there in a luxury scenario, as opposed to in a cramped spaced or in a spacecraft. That usually has no room. So to go to a place that actually has space and has a cafe and all that good stuff. Yeah.
So I'm still thinking the whole cruise ship thing, and shuffleboard on the deck might be a little difficult.
Might be, yes. They'll have to change that, if what happens if it just floats over and lands type of thing.
A whole new strategy. Oh, hey, cornhole.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The cornhole tournament up in space. Yeah.
Instead of, how far are the boards apart now? Like 30 feet?
Yeah.
30
miles?
Yeah. Well, you can take it to, 200 feet anyway. No problem. We'll just float it over.
It'll get there.
That's too funny. Google pulls its AI Test Kitchen app from Play Store and App Store. So they had an AI Test Kitchen.
Really?
That you could play in. Let's see.
Like inventing different recipes, or
well, yeah, you're being too literal here. Yeah, the App Store to focus solely on the web platform. The company launched the AI Test Kitchen experience last year to let users interact with projects powered by different AI models such as Lambda 2. Here we're back to Lambda again.
See, I want to get back to food.
The first set of experiments included the model breaking down a goal into different subsets and talking about dogs to check if the system sticks to the topic. So it was a test kitchen that wasn't really, kitchen as in a place, not like
one
a
of those
place
chef competitions.
No.
Ramsey wasn't there,
but they shut it down. Unfortunately, it's funny that Lambda keeps coming back all the time, right? Who would have thought that Revenge of the Nerds would be used as so Lambda is actually short for LAMDA. I forget what it's short for, but I just think it's hilarious that was in the 80s. And they were a bunch of geeks.
A lot of good stuff came out of the 80s.
And here we are in the 2020s now, and Lambda is back. They would be all over this.
They never went anywhere.
Yeah, Google confirmed the move to 9 to 5 Google, which first noted the apps being pulled and said that the AI Test Kitchen will focus on just the web experience, as it is easy to push updates to just one platform.
So you went from nerds to Dolly Parton.
Just like that, yeah. Yeah, 9 to 5, yeah. So I think 9 to 5 Google is their new platform for AI testing. So, it's interesting. And the
Banker's
reason they pulled
hours. What the heck?
Is because of OpenAI, ChatGPT. They're much further along than this test kitchen, so they just scrapped it. So there you go.
So
AI's
you're in, and you keep moving along with the iterations of ChatGPT.
Moving along.
Which version are you at now? How many have there been since ChatGPT came out?
Well, they had our early version of 3.
Which they were beta testing.
I think they had 2.5 as well. I mean, obviously they've had 1, 1.5, 2. I think 2.5 was like the earliest. And you can still, if you get the API to ChatGPT, you can actually access 2.5, but up to 4. So it defaults to 3.5. But I just switched over to 4 because I feel that 4 is much
smarter.
more. I don't know if I would
better
call
looking,
it smarter. Yeah, there you go. I like the better looking part. No, I think 4 is more creative than 3.5. 3.5 to me is the logical thinker. So if I need to have something that's logically thought out, not saying that 4 can't do this too, but 4 really is much more creative in its arguments. If you were going to actually, do a little debate with it, it'll actually, and if I present it in an idea, for example, it'll come back and it won't just give you why the idea is good or bad. It'll actually say, that's a wonderful idea, or this is what you'd have to do to make this work. It's not really the greatest idea.
You ever have one come back and go, God, that was dumb?
Not yet. That's because all I have is wonderful ideas.
Well, I wasn't talking about you specifically. I'm just.
I don't know.
Say if I was to use it.
Excuse me. Let me get a drink of water here. Which meant that you were supposed to talk while I was drinking, you know.
Oh,
much better.
I'm not good at ventriloquism.
My eyes are watering, which tells me that there is something in the air today. So little allergy stuff. Now, if they could figure that out. It's
probably smoke. It's those damn Canadians still.
I hope not. Hope that's not the case. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. Have you been thinking about this?
You know, they're intriguing, although I don't like the commercials.
I haven't seen the commercials.
Yeah, this chick with this really obnoxious kind of maybe British accent. It's just, I would think about getting the phone, except the marketing piece for me is horrible.
Interesting. Well, maybe if they come up with a new commercial, you'll think about it more seriously.
The Tech Ranch. Ranch. Let's rejoin Marlo and Steve as they guide us through the fascinating world of technology.
So aside from marketing, though, have you been thinking about...
I'm still trying to I have a hard time wrapping my head around, okay, at some point, the screen's got to crack.
So I think that's the first thing that everybody thinks about is that you're right, because it doesn't make any sense that you could fold it, unfold it, and keep going this way, and it would not crack.
Well, I'm going to throw another layer on that.
Okay.
Winter.
Right, so it gets cold.
Things get cold, things get brittle.
Right.
In the winter, I would see that being an issue. Although I will say this, remember when touchscreens first came out in vehicles, right?
Yeah.
And they were not that good because they didn't like winter.
And now,
if you left your cell phone in the car overnight in the winter, didn't like that.
Right.
Do you have a problem with touchscreens today?
Not at all.
Not at all. So are they in the same space?
Yeah. This new touchscreen technology and the foldable technology, I'm going to give you a quick little story from like
here's a story
6 or 7,
of a lovely cell phone
8 years ago, maybe, whatever, at CES. So I'm just visiting with this gentleman, and I have an interview of this somewhere, and
should bust that out.
Yes, and visiting with him, and he's talking about how jellyfish inspired him to create this screen.
Like actual jellyfish.
Jellyfish. Stung by jellyfish, but notices that they're luminescent, right?
What's your favorite jellyfish?
Strawberry.
Strawberry rhubarb, yes. Wow, we're on the same page there. Yeah, a little scary.
Anyway, so he started to look into this.
They glow.
And he basically used that inspiration to make this film, this luminescent film, right? And as I'm talking to him, he pulls this little, like a napkin out of his pocket, and then proceeds to open it. And it becomes like this large screen. And then there are images that he's projecting from his smart device onto it. So he had a little wireless thing going on to this thing. And then when he's done, he folded it back up and put it in his pocket.
Interesting.
And I looked at that and I'm like, isn't this going to be something in the future where you carry your large screen with you in your pocket or your purse or whatever? And whenever you need a large screen, you just unfold it, set it up, because there's nothing to it.
Is that an 85-inch screen in your pocket,
Yeah.
or are you just happy to see me?
So that technology is what's actually fueling our devices now.
Jellyfish.
Because they're like jellyfish, where they're not brittle, they're soft to the touch, they don't take a lot of power, they're very, very efficient when it comes to power usage, which is why the length of our devices, as far as the time that you can use them, has expanded a lot, because the screen doesn't take as much power.
Think of it in terms of fiber optics.
Right.
It doesn't take a whole lot to move that data down that fiber optic line.
And then on top of it, like even when you crack your screen, like that protective glass over the top of it, your screen, the phone still works. It's because all you've cracked is that protective feature over the top of the screen a lot of times. It really doesn't need that, and that's actually why the foldables work, is because they've removed that the screen glass part over the top of it, and now it just folds back and forth. So it's a really interesting technology that will revolutionize how we do things moving forward, and especially moving into the transportability, I'm making up a word here, of how we, interact with our devices. I was having a conversation with Jim Silram the other day, and he's talking about docking, and, we should get docks that we can just plug our laptops into, and that way we can be more mobile, right? Which is a good idea. But then you start thinking about what's about ready to come on us here with these foldable screens and everything else. And you just have to get what you need to get through with what you're doing right now. You can't be thinking about the future. You'll never buy anything. Well,
that's how fast technology is moving.
That's correct.
There's a reason that as soon as you buy something, it's obsolete in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Hours.
So anyway, that was a really interesting conversation, and it's fun that, I've watched this technology move from that interview.
How long ago was that?
This is probably 7-8 years. Maybe it's even longer than that now, but I was totally blown away by this technology. They actually won my pick of the year that year at CES, but now seeing this stuff being from that kind of idea that this gentleman had, he's a doctor, by the way, and turn this thing into this amazing technology for screen use, is inspired by jellyfish. So isn't that something?
That is.
You're sitting back just thinking about it right now. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Think about the technological advances we've made by just things around us in nature.
That is true. And we should pay more attention to some of those things too. Yeah, I think
slow down.
Yep.
Be aware of your surroundings.
Yep.
Don't text and drive.
Oh, by the way, we forgot to mention this before we get into the Galaxy Z here, Fold. Drone camp next weekend in Tioga, North Dakota.
Yes.
Drone camp for kids. So I don't know if they have any space left at the event, but if you have children between the ages of like 5th grade and a high school senior, they're able and eligible to go to drone camp if there's still space left. But go check it out. Just Google space camp, drone camp for kids, Tioga, North Dakota. Anybody across the country can attend. It's I think it's like 100 students that can attend this thing. But it's really, we get a lot of people from North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and some Canadians that come down for it too. So, But if you are interested, it's a great couple days, and I'm really I'll be there.
Oh, cool.
Looking forward to
hanging out with Dennis Lindahl.
Yeah, I've done that now. This is just the 8th year now, something like that. It's really a great program.
Well, he was telling me too, there's one coming up in New Salem, North Dakota.
Yeah, they're expanding the drone camp.
They're taking the drone, and it's under a different name, but they're expanding that drone camp because where UAV is gone, or UAS, or whatever you want to call it, which can the industry at least figure out which direction they want to go first? But there's such a market share for that, and the opportunities within UAV or UAS for kids, and just from a career path, and it should be expanded. So other opportunities for kids to go to camp and check out some of the drone stuff.
Yeah. All right, for the Fold. So the new Fold 5, it's the first thing, the reason I don't carry one, by the way, is because I think I just don't like how thick and bulky
it's thick when you fold it over.
Yeah. And I like the thin design. I'll put up with a little smaller screen because I like that it's a little thinner. But the new one is actually thinner, just so you know. So people who are interested in moving up from the Fold that they might have now.
How's it work with my wallet?
I do not know the answer to that.
Because they're going to have to come up with a different case / wallet for that.
Because you need to have yours so that it opens up as well.
Yeah, mine's I use my phone case as a wallet.
You do.
My credit cards and...
Yes. So, you get the bigger screen. It's a 5.3-inch screen when it's unfolded. Isn't that something?
That's huge.
It's pretty big. I mean, what's interesting about it too is that there's some promotions coming out. Like you get the NFL Pass package with your new fold, which I think is really an interesting way to market it, because then you can watch your football games on the go.
The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
Technology comes alive. Let's dive back into the conversation with Marlo and Steve. And don't forget to check out thetechranch.com for more.
So I need to clarify this to you. The actual fold, when opened, is 7.6 inches.
That's a big screen.
I mean, you think about...
It's like 12 years ago when cell phones got huge.
Right. Well, I mean, my phone now is huge. So this screen that I have right here, the Galaxy S device is a 6.8-inch Ultra. So that's what I have now. But, you add another inch around this thing, and it makes the viewable area significantly larger again. So it's pretty big. And it wasn't that long ago when the 9-inch television was a thing. Isn't that something?
The little portable one you carry, a little black and white.
I mean, think about further back than that. But yeah, you had to carry a long one.
Yeah,
but
what's that? Like a 6-inch?
Yeah, it might be a little larger than what you're doing there.
Because I had a TV that was like that.
Yeah, I had a carry around one too.
Yeah, you carried it, a little radio, AM, FM radio / TV.
And then when I was growing up, really the 19-inch was about the only choice you had, or smaller.
Yeah.
So
unless you had the big console that was the stereo and the TV and the
right. But I think the 19-inch television was built into that too. The console just made it seem bigger because you had like you said, all the other stuff built into it. So, I mean, it's almost like carrying a small television in your pocket now. It's kind of crazy.
Well, you and I had this discussion though. It's like at what point do you just forego the phone and go to a small tablet?
Or vice versa.
Right.
Just depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah.
Right. Because you said you can download an app onto a tablet and it can make phone calls.
Right. Easy. So, well, I mean, if you use like WhatsApp, why not? Do you use WhatsApp, by the way?
No, I need to get on that one, though, because you told me I had to.
So, speaking of Jim, he hadn't used it either. So now this is two people that I know that don't have it. You know how many people have downloaded that app? 5 billion.
With a B?
With a B.
That's more than McDonald's has served.
I think there's 7.6 billion people on the planet, right?
And everybody has the app.
And
closing in on 8.
2/3 of those people, 5/8 of those people then anyway, have this one app.
Who owns that app?
Meta does now.
Huh.
They didn't build it originally, but they bought it. Yeah.
They're making money.
So the thing with WhatsApp, if you didn't know this, is you can just text or phone anybody in the world without any charges, as long as you have a data plan attached to it. You have to be in a Wi-Fi or use your data on your phone. But yeah, I mean, so like, I do some business over in Germany, and the people that I work with, we just use WhatsApp to talk to each other.
So it's no different than if you're on a Zoom or a team call and you have the option of either dialing in with your Wi-Fi or cellular data.
Right.
Same thing.
There's plenty of options out there to, make calls now worldwide without having additional charges to it. But I think WhatsApp was kind of a leader in that space early on, and it integrates with your phone. So you
how
can
does
just
that
make
work
a phone
when you
call.
travel then? So, because if you travel outside the United States or United States and Canada, there's places you have to have an add-on to your phone plan.
If you're using
Europe is huge,
cellular side of it, right? You can or drop a different type of SIM card in or whatever.
Right.
But if you're in a Wi-Fi area, it doesn't matter.
Right. So all you have to do is be connected to a Wi-Fi and then just use WhatsApp, and you don't have to worry about any of that.
That's correct. Which a lot of people do, by the way. So they'll buy a phone, not even get a plan.
Burner phone.
Just get a phone, and then if I'm just picking in Europe or China or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You just find a Wi-Fi area and you can do all the business you want to using WhatsApp. Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it.
That is cool.
Yeah. So if you lived in an area, for example,
with your little burner phone. James Bond.
But there are towns that
You feel like a
have
spy over in Europe.
that have Wi-Fi throughout the town.
Right.
Right. It's just like a free public Wi-Fi. And there are tourist areas now that offer down their entire tourist district free Wi-Fi to whoever comes into that area.
Well, they're trying to do that in the United States from a travel perspective. They want along all the interstates to be Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Starting at rest areas. That's one of the first places you.
So if you live in one of those areas, or you live in a building that and work in a building that has Wi-Fi accessibility, do you actually need a cell plan?
No.
If you don't travel much, what do you need a cell plan for? You could make all the calls you want to. You could text all day long. You could order your food. You could do all this stuff and never, ever pay for a cell plan.
See, now, if you don't have a cell plan and you're just tapping into the Wi-Fi at work like that. Remember back in the day when everybody's self-plan had free long distance?
Oh, yes. It was such a big deal.
But only on the weekends?
Yeah.
So everybody waited to make their or free data on the weekends.
Right.
Otherwise, you had to pay for each. Yeah, so you make all your calls at work.
People would do that all the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was free on weekends.
Free on weekends.
Sometimes after 9 p.m., you can make free phone calls, too. It was always on those off-peak times, So, yeah, that's kind of funny. All right. Well, anyway, the Fold 5Z is now available. I've heard that it can be available for as little as $999 with a plan somewhere.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
It seems cheap, right? Now, here's
I just had a new offer. Yeah.
It's amazing how big it is
huge.
when I unfold it, right? Just showing that to you. So, yeah, it's a pretty big phone.
So that's like a tablet.
It folds out to be like a small tablet.
Yeah.
It really is that small. So it's impressive.
It's funny. I've talked to a couple people that have them, and they're not going back. They absolutely
same
hooked.
Here. Same here. I have a couple of people that I know that have them too, and a couple of them have the screen on the outside as well, so they don't have to open them up to answer the phone or do their stuff, but they can open it up if they want to view stuff or do more work with them, right? And you're right, same thing. Hooked on them. They think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So I find that interesting.
I don't know if they've come out with it yet, but they were working on a docking station for it as well, so you can hook into a docking station with that. So it would function like a small tablet or a small laptop.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's ways easy to put a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse to it if you want, and project that screen onto a monitor or even a TV screen. A lot of people nowadays, if you haven't thought about this before, a lot of televisions, 4K, 8K televisions are just as good as computer monitors.
Oh, yeah.
And I know a couple people who have just gone to that. And then you have a 35, 40, 50-inch computer monitor that you're working off of instead. And the resolution is every bit as good as a computer monitor.
Oh, I do that occasionally. So, I Wi-Fi into my television set. Okay. I have that mirroring capability right off my phone.
Yep.
I can go read emails and
that's cool.
And they're big enough for me to read.
So, do you do that often? Do you actually mirror your phone quite often?
Not a lot. Maybe 2-3 times a month.
Okay. Interesting.
But it makes it because my TV, of course, has got a camera in it. So if I'm doing a Zoom call or a Teams meeting or one of those other platforms, because there's a lot of them out there now, I can do it right on my television in my family room.
Yep. Well, here's a little bit of news that everybody's going to love. IRS will finally let most Americans file taxes online next year.
Thank you. Finally. That took long enough.
Taxpayers can go entirely paperless for filing season 2024, with the IRS targeting 2025 for complete paperless processing. So there you go. They figure it'll save, what did I read here, 200 million sheets of paper a year. So it must be part of the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1976. I used to crack up. You leave it to the government to come up with these crazy names for stuff, right? The Paperwork Reduction Act of 1976 actually added 2 additional pages to the end of every document talking about the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1976. Who lobbied for that?
You can't make that up. Was it the paper industry?
Well, it had to be, right?
Was it Georgia Pacific?
I just laugh about that every time I see that, like at the end of like the IRS instruction booklet for Form 1040, whatever, right? If you go get the physical copy and go to the very back page, there's 2 pages dedicated to, in fact, one of them actually says this page has been left intentionally blank.
Just cost more for trees.
And then the next page will talk about the information or the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1976, which is like a paragraph. So the rest of it's left blank too. And you just look at that and you're like, are you kidding me? And yet here they're talking about how it's going to save 200 pieces of paper a year. So what do you believe? I don't know.
You know, it's funny because if you think about in North Dakota, our state, how long it took to get digital at the Secretary of State's office.
Yeah.
And the running joke was the former Secretary of State, before he retired, there were all these photos floating around because he had stacks and stacks and stacks of folders on his desk.
Yes.
Famous for it because he had to physically look at every piece of application and information that went across his desk. And it was mind-numbing. Like, you talk about a waste of paper by a department not being digital. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking short stacks. I'm talking 4-foot stacks of folders on the desk. It was insane. But, you know, there's a lot of things that we should just be digital now anyway. Because if you're looking at the security side of stuff, is it more secure having a piece of paper floating around, or is it more secure being encrypted in digital now? I think we've gotten over that cybersecurity side of things, and we're getting into a place where what shouldn't be. When I was the mayor of Bismarck, that was one of the first things I did is like, why are we not using DocuSign? Because something needed to get signed. I'd have to run down to City Hall and physically sign it because we couldn't use a digital signature that was already prepared. You had to sign on the form. Yep. And so it took about 6 months. We got everything switched over to DocuSign. We eliminated a lot of paper, a lot of efficiency went into that. It was just, things were quicker.
Yep.
I could be somewhere halfway across the country and, contract came in for something and DocuSign it, done.
Yeah.
It's like, why wasn't this being done?
Yeah.
But the efficiencies from the business world or government world in that case, and why we're not further down that road is a little bit of a mystery to me.
Yeah, I think it just takes a while to, government moves slow.
People move slow.
That
was the first thing I said when I walked through the door. It's like, if I hear that's the way we've always done it, get out.
Yeah.
There's the door.
Yeah. And that, I don't know, of course, the challenge is that things move so fast by the time you even integrate something. But you have to integrate.
You got to pick and choose, though.
You got to just do it, because if it's such a bad waste of time and resources already, just please move forward.
Well, and there are things, policies and processes that you can implement that'll be foundational. You can build a foundation of something. Yep. So, and those are the building blocks for other pieces of technology to come on board. And you got to invest in those. You just have to invest in those. But how much time do you think has to go into picking and choosing what, is it a little guesswork, or is it a little detective work, or because I go back to the VHS or beta, which path?
Yep.
Or Laserdisc.
Right.
Which path, which technology is the one that's going to be emerging? Because right now we're in a place where there's so much new technology coming out, and that's not even including the AI stuff at the moment, but there's so much new technology. How do you guard against picking the wrong one?
Yep. Well, you're going to love this. And this is government moving slow again, but you're going to love this.
Moving slowly.
FCC fines robocaller a record $300 million after blocking billions of their scam calls.
And that was just my phone.
Yeah, that was just your phone.
That was just my phone.
You know what this does, though? This fires a warning shot. Like, if you're a robocaller, we're going to find you, and you're going to get fined like nobody's business. $300 million for a robocaller firm.
So they'll just file bankruptcy, rename the company, and continue to do it.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
Thrilled to have you with us as we continue exploring living with technology alongside Marlo and Steve.
Yeah, $300 million. And you're right. And it actually states in here.
Change.
Yeah. But whether and when that money will be paid is, as always, something of an open question. So you understand. The robocaller in this case was known by a variety of names and has been scamming people since 2018. And this is what's funny. Haven't identified the particulars of the long-running scheme, which used the promise of selling auto warranties to collect personal information from people.
I've never got that call. Your warranty's about to expire on your car.
As if the fake warranty wasn't enough, the calls also exhibited the standard robocall characteristics of failing to identify the caller, failing to respect call consent laws like the do not call list, failing to provide a callback number, and spoofing the area code.
All right, I've got two questions.
Yes.
Well, and the spoof thing drives me nuts. It's like, hey, where are you? Because I ask, it's like, so where are you calling from? If I got a real person, it's like, AI, it's like, because it'll say Minokan, North Dakota, or Lakota, North Dakota.
Mino.
Yeah, I'm like, where are you calling from? I'm in Florida.
Right.
Well, why does your number say
a
local,
a
fairly local number?
Yeah.
So when you're talking about robocalls, aren't they all scams, or are there legitimate robocalls? Well, because I think about the political side of stuff where you'll have robocalls for political campaigns or agendas. But are there legitimate robocalls, or are they all just scams? Because in what you just read, it kind of made it sound like all robocalls are a scam of some sort or another.
I would imagine some are. I mean, if there's a credit card verification going on, but I mean, is that really a robocall then? So
I don't know.
I mean, you would consider that a courtesy call that you know that somebody is trying to use your credit card or whatever.
See, that's different though. That's because you've entered into an agreement previously, and it's just a verification, so it's actually a security layer.
So this is how bad this is. This is how bad this is.
How bad is it, Marlo?
So National Day Calendar has ran a couple of contests over the last couple of months. One of them was to give away a year's supply of pizza at your favorite pizza place. So we would actually buy $1,000 gift certificate from your pizza place, and then you could go there however many times.
I think more pizza than that.
Well, it's $20 a week is what we figured. One pizza a week for a year, right? And then we did that. We gave away a burrito for a year, right? Same thing. We bought $1,000 worth of burritos or Mexican food at a particular place. And then on top of it, we gave away a free trip for two to Las Vegas. For Martini Day. We were going to do this Martini tour, right? You know how difficult it's been to give away those prizes?
Why?
People registered for them on our website. We would call them.
And they're like, yeah, you're full of crap.
That's correct. Chris basically got verbally assaulted one day in our office here because he tried to call them and let them know that they had won a year's supply worth of pizza. They had signed up for it, and they still didn't believe it.
It's like, you signed. I have your registration right here with your information. This is legit. I'm calling you because you signed up and you won.
Yep. So we ended up having to go, after we figured out that they're not going to accept the prize, we went and found somebody else. The burrito one took 3 tries, and then the restaurant that we tried to buy the $1,000 gift certificate from didn't believe us either.
Really?
Because they thought they were getting scammed because there's some type of credit card scam going on over the phone we'd call in a week later and cancel, to rebuke the charge or whatever. So, yeah, crazy. And the Vegas one, we're still trying to give it away.
Really?
I can't tell you
2 days in Vegas.
How many people we have gone through on that list, and nobody believes that they have won a trip for 2 to Vegas. Just on our website. We don't have any contests going on right now because we can't give the stuff away. These are legitimate things that we're doing, and we can't give them away. And it's because nobody trusts anybody calling them on the phone anymore.
So,
isn't that something?
Okay, so 99% of robocalls are not legitimate.
Sure.
Okay.
I would go there.
We'll go there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking in your case, those that are trying to do legitimate business.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we're not a robocall scenario, but because of robocalls, there's no trust in the phones at all.
So here's where I'm going with this. So they got a $300 million fine. Why are they not in prison?
Yeah, that would be a better choice.
That would be a better choice. Why aren't they being criminally prosecuted?
Yeah, because it is against the law.
Here's a fine.
You have documents. The FCC has documents of billions, not just like 500,000 calls, which is still a lot, but they have billions of records or calls that they have documented. That to me, if every one of them is a misdemeanor offense, that's a lot of jail time.
So, is there somebody connected that they're...
That makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Well, because my question is the FCC just sending out this fine to blah, blah, blah company and it's a blank box somewhere? Or is there somebody who... Because otherwise, why wouldn't there be a defendant in that case?
Right.
Because do they have one?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'm reading through this a little further here to see if there's any criminal prosecution going on at all.
Because if there was an identifiable defendant in this, that would elevate it beyond a fine, I would think, because this is a criminal act. Robocalls are criminal for nefarious purposes.
Right. That's correct.
So something's not adding up here. There's a disconnect somewhere. And is it in the fact that they maybe don't have somebody they can put their hands on or identify? Or is it just, okay, we're going to just take this warning shot across the bow in the hopes that it'll deter some of this? Because the deterring some of this was supposed to be the do not call list, but I don't know if there's teeth in that now.
Right.
Now I question it.
But at least there was a warning shot, and I'm hoping that it deters a few people. I will say that I feel like my number of spam calls I've been getting lately is down. Have you? Now I know we have filters on our phones that help.
They changed though. Yeah, okay. So filter on my phone, but even though it says spam, I kind of tend to answer.
Do you like to have fun with them?
I do. I do.
What do you do when you have a couple minutes and you have a spam call come through?
Oh, I just tie them up and I'll talk in circles. And going back to the car warranty one. I'd always give them my old hunting truck. I was like, yeah, I don't have that. Well, because the ones that might be a little legit are vehicles I've had in the past that are newer. I'm like, yeah, I don't have that anymore. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Click. Okay. Maybe that was legit.
Yeah.
Well, what vehicle do you have? It's like, oh, I got a 2001, but click. It's not eligible anyway. But something's got to get done because apparently my Google listing needs to get updated. That's the one I get now because they're cyclical. I mean, it'll be auto for a while and then it'll be Google listing so you don't know where it's coming from because they change them all the time.
Right, they do. There's always a new scam, and so you always have to be situationally aware, even on your phone calls.
It's like that African lottery.
Yes.
If you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology. The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
This is Ag Issues with Neil Roberts.
Welcome to another edition of Ag Issues. Our guest today is Extension Entomologist Janet Knodel from NDSU. And Janet, let's talk the red sunflower seed weevil today. Sounds like it's starting to show.
Yes, we're just starting to see red sunflower seed weevil. So now's the time to get out and scout. Once your sunflowers get to the R4, where you see the yellow ray petals, and up into early to mid flowering. Look for the small weevil. It's about 1/8 of an inch, and it's reddish brown in color and has the weevil snout on it. We have calculated the thresholds, and based on 23 cents per pound, the threshold is 4 to 6 weevils per head, and that takes into account the plant population and the insecticide cost and application. So check several plants, get out of the edge where they're a little bit higher.
Okay, good advice, Janet, and we'll talk the diamondback moth and canola when we come back.
At Northwest Tire, you can get the tires you need for your car, pickup, and almost any other vehicle you drive. But did you know they also do so much more than just tires? Northwest Tire is certified ASC mechanics that can do brakes, alignments, flushes, oil changes, and general engine repair. If you're short on cash, apply for their financing today. Apply in store or at nwtire.com. Deferred interest for 6 months with any purchase over $149. See store for details. Northwest Tire. Tires and so much more.
Northwest Tire keeps you rolling down the road.
Birdsall Grain and Seed, a farmer seed company servicing all of your agronomy needs. Birdsall's offers certified seed and wants to remind you to book early for next spring to guarantee availability at top varieties. Birdsall's can also cover your fall burn down needs from chemical to custom application. Also offered is dry fertilizer, anhydrous, seed cleaning, as well as custom application of dry fertilizer. Stop in or call Birdsall Grain and Seed today at 701-453-3300. Birdsall Grain and Seed, a farmer seed company, 4 miles west of Berthold, just off Highway 2.
We're with Janet Knodel today on Ag Issues, and Janet, the diamondback moth in canola is causing some issues in certain areas across the region, right?
Yes, we're monitoring for the diamondback moth in canola with pheromone traps, and we're seeing more than 100 moths per week. And we're mainly seeing it in the major canola areas in Ward County, Minot area, and up in the northeast Langdon area. So those are key areas right now to get out and scout. We look for the small green larvae that's only about 1/2 inch long, and the threshold is about 25 larvae per square foot.
All right, good stuff, Janet. Thanks for that, and that'll bring this report to a close. Until next time, I'm Neil Roberts.
You've been listening to Ag Issues, brought to you in part by Northwest Tire, keeps you rolling down the road, by Birdsall Grain and Seed, and by Bremer Bank. Contact Bremer for all your ag banking solutions.
This is the Pet Minute. I'm Steve Dale. Heart disease in dogs, next. Your dog loves going to the dog park and seeing his buddies. Maybe sometimes when you travel, he gets to hang out with friends at his favorite boarding facility. Social dogs like yours need more protection than most. By pairing Bordetella Protection, also known as kennel cough, with immunity against canine influenza, we can help ensure these dogs stay healthy. Merck Animal Health wants you to talk with your veterinarian about pairing up for protection with vaccines for your dog for kennel cough and the canine influenza virus. Don't wait, vaccinate. Heart disease is a serious issue for dogs. You often won't see signs of certain types of heart disease until the dog is at a pretty advanced stage. That's one reason why you really want to make sure your veterinarian is seeing your dog for a wellness check every year without exception. A medication called Vetmedin can help delay the onset of congestive heart failure or manage complications of heart failure once diagnosed.
KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the View Community Credit Union studio.
Here's the latest latest from ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The first Republican presidential debate set for August 23rd. Former President Trump remains the front runner even as he's facing 3 trials. The latest indictment this past week, Trump pleaded not guilty to 4 felony counts alleging he tried to overturn the 2020 election. Trump says he won't take part in the debate since he's the leading candidate. Today, campaigning in Benton, Iowa, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was asked about why Trump won't debate.
I don't know kind of what the, what his insight is on it. I think at the end of the day, you got to earn this nomination. I think there has been an attempt to create narratives, particularly in media and in elsewhere, to say, don't even worry about the race. It's a fait accompli. That's not true. You talk to these people, that's not true. You got to earn it.
Former President Trump will be campaigning in South Carolina tonight. Police in New York City say they've arrested and charged a 17-year-old that in the fatal stabbing of a professional dancer, O'Shea Sibley, last weekend at a Brooklyn gas station. The 28-year-old black man who was openly gay was dancing outside when police say he was confronted by a group and was hurling slurs. Assistant Chief Joe Kinney with the Detective Bureau says the teen suspect is a high school student.
He has been charged with murder too, and that is being charged as a hate crime, and criminal possession of a weapon.
Olympic gymnast Simone Biles making her comeback today at the U.S. Classic in Illinois. The 19-time world champion has not competed since withdrawing from the Tokyo Games after taking what she called a mental health break. Biles is competing to qualify for the Nationals later this month and trying to earn a spot on Team USA for the 2024 Olympics in Paris. It's happened again. No one matched the numbers drawn in last night's Mega Millions. The jackpot now worth an estimated $1.55 billion. You're listening to ABC News.
Supertalk 1270, Bismarck area weather.
With your forecast, I'm Corey Hartman. For today, showers and thunderstorms with a high near 70. Tonight, showers and storms possible with a low around 57. Mostly sunny, breezy, and a high of 80 on your Sunday. Sunshine and 81 for Monday. More showers and storms by Tuesday. Breezy with a high near 81. Grandpa's barbecue sauce is perfect for summer grilling. Pick up a bottle at grandpa'sbbqshop.com.
Currently 69 degrees.
Hey everyone, this is Robert Carey from America's #1 travel radio show, inviting you to join Mary and me and Rudy every Sunday as we cover the ever-evolving world of travel, talk with the newsmakers, share compelling experiences, and explore the world together during the fastest 2 hours in travel.
It's in our DNA to travel. The world of travel is so entwined in our daily lives. It's an economic engine, and that's why we do everything we can to bring you a diverse show that's different than anything you'll see, hear, or find anywhere else.
So join us on RM World Travel or engage us anytime at rmworldtravel.com.
Program schedule, updated local news, sports, contests, and more. Visit today at supertalk1270.com.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
So this is interesting. Meta had launched Threads, the Twitter version of what,
Yeah,
Facebook
wait. And tell me what this is.
It's you squishing a bug.
No, that was Threads falling on its face.
Wow.
Didn't go well.
So
that went about as well as Governor Ron DeSantis's Twitter reveal that he was running for president.
Right.
Thud.
Threads' daily active user count is down 82% from launch as of July 31st.
And launch wasn't that good.
They did okay, though. I mean, they had... on July 31st, 8 million users accessing the app each day. That is the lowest it has been since the day after the app's release, when daily active users peaked at roughly 44 million. So Threads is not doing well.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm asking this is the marketer in me, because I do marketing. And there's two trains of thought, and you're a tech guy. So if you've got a new product you want to roll out, with technology, there's always room for improvement. Things change very quickly. Are you more inclined to want to beta test something and let it percolate for a while, and you lose the element of surprise, but it's going to cook and cook and cook and cook and cook, and you're going to get feedback, and you can make some incremental improvements and then do a relaunch? Or would you be more inclined to go, okay, let's launch this thing and then we'll deal with some of the headaches, because there's always going to be headaches as they come?
That's a good question. And I actually grapple with this question often.
Well, I know you do, because you work in this space.
Because, like if you bring in an app out, when is the app good enough? Because I have a list of, and I'm just picking up some of the things I've done in the past. I'll have a list that's 2 miles long of features I want on the app. Is version 1 good enough? And then we add this new stuff as we go along, or is it so important that we need to add this stuff? The problem is that it takes resources, and then you delay your launch another 3 months to add this other stuff.
Where somebody could have come out with a similar product,
or you're not monetizing. You're running out of your runway for money, whatever it looks like, right? So, I would have to cautiously go with your second choice, and that is to bring it out and deal with the headaches.
Okay, so, and you bring up a good point on, is it good enough? And I think you need to get to that point where it's pretty darn good, or pretty close. People actually are receptive to and like new features coming on. Hey, we're going to add this, and we're going to add this, and and they're excited, they're happy when that gets added.
Yep.
But the base worked. The base model worked, and it was good enough. And then you add these new features, and people are happy about that. And this is the marketer in me. You get one chance to make a first impression. And if people have a bad experience with it, like Meta's realizing, they don't come back.
So you're thinking, have you been on Threads? Have you used it at all?
I looked at it.
So I don't go
on Twitter and things.
I know we signed up here, and just because we wanted to, we have a theory, or a thing that practice, I should say, not a theory, that we do when new social media stuff comes out. We go out and grab it right away now, just so that we can squat on our name.
Well, and we have Jordan on the program too, and that's what he.
You need to do that, because the worst thing you want to have happen is Threads actually becomes a thing, and then
you're like
a year later, and then you're like, oh my goodness, somebody already has National Day Calendar, or they have the Tech Ranch or whatever, right? And then it really becomes
or
a big
if it blows
issue,
up,
right?
and you're like, okay, it became a thing, and we didn't catch that,
right. So you got to be, you need to do those type of things, but I don't know. I don't have an opinion on Threads at all.
You get one chance to make a first impression, and Threads made a horrible first impression. It fell on its face.
Yeah.
And how many people are going to go back and try it after, hey, we fixed it, it's improved?
Well, I think the other thing,
and a lot of people won't.
You can't even delete it without deleting your Instagram account.
Yeah.
They're intertwined. So if you,
which is why I did not sign up for it, because I'm like, I don't want something I can never get rid of.
Right. My guess is they'll probably change that, because they've had so much backlash on that.
It'd be like having two wives.
Yeah.
You're married twice.
Yes. Yeah. So I think I find it interesting, and of course that.
But I come back to that first impression part, and you got to have something at least functional, and it wasn't.
Right. I like I said, I don't have an opinion on it at all. So, but speaking of that, so X, Twitter, now X. What do you like? You're on your marketing side now. Do you like the fact that Twitter is now X?
No. And does it mean I'm not going to like where it's going? I'm not saying that. you and I discussed the bigger picture and the bigger plan for Twitter, now X, and why the Twitter platform was important for what Elon Musk is working towards. And I say that very specifically, working towards, not working on. He's got a bigger picture plan.
He does, much bigger.
And this is one integral piece of it. So from a social media platform, what Twitter was, and I think this is where a lot of people are a little upset, is they miss Twitter. They like Twitter for what Twitter was, but Twitter's not Twitter anymore.
No.
So you can't talk about it. You can't. It's apples to oranges talking Twitter to X, and it's going to be apples to avocados later. I mean, not even in the same fruit family. It's not. That's not what it's intended for. It's going someplace else, and it's leaving.
Think that that's what I was going to get at. So you think X is just his way of saying we're just done with Twitter?
Yeah.
The base that's here
served its purpose.
Is here. If you guys don't like this, you can leave. But I'm hoping a lot of you will follow
Unlike Threads.
along. Yeah. Yep. So moving on with this then. So TikTok will now allow users to post text-only content for the first time in a challenge to Elon Musk's beleaguered X.
Why is X beleaguered?
Well, I'm just reading to you from CNN.
Well, right.
So,
but
I wouldn't say it's beleaguered.
It's not.
I just think that maybe beleaguered in a way.
It's evolving.
But beleaguered in a way that it's just been, there's been so much media to it, and it's mostly been negative media. So I would say that beleaguered in that respect.
Okay, marketing hat again. Any press is good press. Because you know what? You know what kills a Twitter or an X or a Facebook? When nobody's talking about it.
Right.
And
X is in the news all the time.
It's in the news every single day, just like Chat GPT was in the news every day.
Yeah.
AI is in the news every day. That makes it relevant.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because until today, I hadn't even thought about Threads for a month.
Yeah.
For a whole month, But we have talked about X how many times on this show since then?
Gee,
like
Marlo,
every episode.
Some nice threads there.
Yeah.
Is that a new suit?
So that's interesting that you bring that up. So always relevant, always in the news.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're going to talk in the space, and this, again, marketing hat, of social media, what's the one thing that will kill all of it? Lack of relevancy. If you're not in the news, making news, in the press, being talked about, it's kind of like all the people that think they're social media influencers. Okay, what if nobody's talking about you or talking about the platform you're on? You're irrelevant. But you're not anything then.
But they all think that chum's in the water here. The sharks are circling, right? Because, well,
we did just have Shark Week, so
Meta came out with Threads, TikTok,
and the new Meg movie's coming out.
There you
so
go.
Hey,
that's
bring
right.
it on.
TikTok is now offering text posts to take on X as well. So there's everybody thinks that there's an opportunity here because Twitter is beleaguered.
But here's my final point on this, and this is like trump card point. What are all those platforms doing? They're reacting to X, which means who's in the lead?
Right.
X. Twitter, now X. They're reacting to what they're doing. When you're reacting to what the competition is doing, you're behind the competition. So who's relevant?
Right.
Who's moving the needle? Who's making a difference? It's not these other platforms. X is in the lead.
But you would not know that. I'm reading through some of the stuff here on CNN.
What, mainstream media?
Not knocking CNN here, but the latest move by TikTok, which is owned by China's ByteDance, may prove to be another knock for Musk, whose takeover of X in October has resulted in mass layoffs, a huge drop in advertising revenue, and controversial changes.
Mass layoffs. He fired everybody that didn't need.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just how you word
things.
Yeah. So
apparently they've got their Chat GPT trained to.
all Musk came in and created a more efficient X.
Right.
That's all he did.
Yeah. But again, who's reacting to whom?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that's what matters. So this doom and gloom of the fall of X, it's like, well, I don't see X reacting to what other people are doing in the market space. It's the other way around.
Yep. 100% agree. So this is interesting. Apple faces $1 billion UK lawsuit by app developers over App Store fees.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The Tech Ranch.
Listen.
Get ready for more amazing tech insights from the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So I don't think a lot of people realize this, but when you go through an app store like Google Play or Apple's App Store, there's a percentage. Let's say you bought an app for $1, okay? Or you did something that you bought something through one of these things, right? They get a commission for it.
You're going to laugh at me.
Why am I going to laugh at you?
I have never, ever paid for an app.
Did you download the Flashlight app?
No.
Okay, good for you.
No. I have one that came with my phone.
Okay.
Well, you have one that came with your phone.
Oh, yeah. But there was a time that you would download the Flashlight app.
No, I didn't need a flashlight that bad.
Well, that's interesting.
I have not ever paid for an app.
Well, a lot of people do.
Right.
Obviously. I mean, this is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Huge money.
Well,
right? The fact that they're getting sued for $1 billion.
Download music, all people
of it, right?
buy things through the app stores all the time. I have not ever. Nope.
So as a developer, and I'm, one of the apps I was working on one time, which I'm hoping to relaunch one of these days, that was going to come out. You were kind of involved with that a little bit too.
Is that the cheeseburger app?
Yeah, that was it. Okay. Yeah, the package app, But yeah, the cheeseburger app. I love that. So,
craving a cheeseburger.
We're charging. We're like, all right, we're going to charge $10 to do this particular thing, right? And Apple comes back and says, well, guess what? We want our 30%. You want 30% of our $10 transaction? That is exactly what we need for operating. So now, because of your 30%, we now have to probably charge $14 to get what we need to operate this app with, and you just put us out of business because we don't think we can get $14 for what we want to do. I'm just making some of this stuff up, but
I've wondered how they come up with the marketing side of that, or the purchase agreement side of that, because these stores don't operate for free,
right? And they should get a share.
Right.
I'm not saying they shouldn't get a share. Right. And then on top of that, you still have credit card fees and all this other stuff that goes on top of that too. So you have all this stuff that goes on. But 30% is expensive. It's like you going to the Civic Center in Bismarck, North Dakota, and saying, all right, I want to be a vendor here, and I want to sell Coca-Cola or Pepsi in your place. And the Bismarck Civic Center says, well, in order for you to do that, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars per month to rent this. Plus, we want 30% of every Coke sale you do, which is exactly what goes on.
Right.
And that's why when you go to these events and you go to get a Coca-Cola, that it costs $8 there instead of or $5 instead of the $3 you'd pay anywhere else, because that cost of them being in that place is so crazy expensive.
And it gets carried over to the consumer.
That's correct. But we're willing to pay $5 for it, so we pay for it and complain about it, is what we do. But
don't tell anybody, but sometimes they sneak stuff in.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Okay. Coca-Cola?
Whatever.
Okay.
Depends on where I'm at.
I'm thinking rum, maybe.
Well, okay, that's movie.
We better move on.
It's movie theater. That's different.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I've never
I'll buy the Coke at the theater, though.
You've never paid for an app. I've never snuck alcohol into a movie theater.
Really?
You're so gullible.
Trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
But it's nice of you to go and buy the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that's the least I could do.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Now, if we had a theater, because a lot of theaters around the country have alcohol sales.
Yeah, you can just buy it now.
I would go buy a.
Yeah.
But sometimes, date night.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Cocktail, watch a movie. If I was sitting at home, I would.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? That's one of the arguments, too, because not to get too far off track here, but a lot of people have figured out that I can stream or rent a brand new movie for much less than going to the theater.
Yeah.
You got that big TV. Plus, I can sit there and have a cocktail.
Right.
Or what I found out, and I do have friends that do this, and this is how I found this out. They will go to the theater. That first run movie they're going to watch at home, they'll go to the theater, load up on their popcorn and theater snacks, and then go home and watch the movie. That's a thing now.
I know it's a thing.
It's a big thing now.
I think the theaters actually kind of like that a little bit because their profit margin is on the popcorn and goodies there.
It's not the movies.
Right.
So if you think about it, it's like, okay, like our local theater in town has got a lot of screens.
Yep.
I'm always looking at efficiencies of how much space do you really need for things.
Yeah.
Like libraries. It's like, why are libraries have such a big footprint? You don't need a library to have a big footprint anymore. They're not book depository or repositories anymore. Check out a tablet.
Right.
Download the book and check out the tablet if you want to check out a book. What's the footprint of theaters need to be, even in big cities?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that big anymore.
I'm sure it's changing.
Yeah. So
yeah. Anyway, back to the Apple, being sued. So Apple claims that 85% of developers on the App Store do not pay any commission, and that it helps European developers across our access markets and customers in 175 countries around the world through the App Store. So all that is fine. I'm sure, that's what it really comes down to is that if you're in business to build an app, you, Apple, and you, Google, are the only two places we can go to distribute it. And you
can go to a website and download it, but it's about it's marketing. It's about having a
how many
captive
apps are successful
audience.
if they do that?
Not many.
Not many at all.
No. So I have a little hard time with this lawsuit, though, because it comes back to free market. You're getting a captive audience to market your app.
Don't you feel it's a little monopolistic, though?
A little. But it's still free market.
It is free market.
The other side of that is Apple and Google need to have apps coming up on that platform at the stores so that people will buy them or access them because it comes back to the devices. So everybody's a little complicit in the process because if they're not having new product to sell because they're overpricing what their commission is for giving access to all these people that are going to utilize that product, it kind of runs a little bit of a circle.
Would you say, and you're right, and I, me, I'm a free market guy, so I have misgivings about this a little bit too, but I've been involved in these commissions and sometimes it's the deal breaker.
Right.
So, and I suppose it's true, like if I'm going to vend Coca-Cola at the Civic Center and the rent is too high, it's a deal breaker for me. So then I won't develop it, or I won't.
You're going to go to a different venue.
But
the problem is there's limited venues.
But I have, and in the world of having a place to distribute Coca-Cola, the world is my oyster. I mean, I could go and rent another shop someplace else and do the same thing, right? It doesn't have to be at the Civic Center. With this, there are two choices. That's it. It's very monopolistic.
Well, there's three, but one doesn't bear a whole lot of fruit, and that's the come to my website and download the app.
Right.
That just it doesn't work in today's world.
So you have two choices basically to make it work, and the rent that you have to pay for that access is incredibly high. So it's just a deal breaker for so many people and puts a lot of apps out of business because of it. So I don't know how I feel about it, but it is interesting that they're being sued over it. That's all I have to say about it.
And that is that.
The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
Technology is our passion. Let's jump back into the conversation with Marlo and Steve.
So there's a startup out of Seattle called Data Blanket or Data Blanket. Are you a data or data?
It depends on the context of the word. So
yeah, I go back and forth too. I always think data was Star Trek.
Yeah, it's Star Trek.
But I do say data
it's
occasionally.
Data in Star Trek.
Or data in Star Trek. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Well, I thought you were going to say Starbucks, by the way, because their numbers came out this past week, and holy crap, their earnings
way up
through the roof.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the world opened back up, huh?
It did.
And Starbucks is
and they also changed the model too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the model changed a little bit because they used to be about come on in and sit down and have a cup of coffee and visit and hop on our free Wi-Fi. And now it's more about come to the drive-through window, and they've made the drive-through windows very efficient. So what they've found is they can burn through a whole heck of a lot more customers than when you come in and order your coffee and sit down. And
sure.
And they've gone to the app. It's kind of like, through COVID. If you were to open a restaurant or a store of any kind and you don't put a drive-through window in, you're a fool.
Yeah. I think a lot of businesses discovered the value of drive-throughs.
The value of a drive-through window and the efficiency involved with that speedy delivery of the product, because it's a lot quicker when you go to the drive-through and you can service a lot more people than if they come in and get in line and order. And Starbucks really made hay with the app in conjunction with that drive-through model.
Yeah, the app is amazing because, I'm not.
Oh, hey, by the way, put a bunch of money on here that we're going to make interest on until you spend it. Brilliant.
I'll sit in a Starbucks when I'm traveling and watch the amount of coffee that goes out. You know, they have this system where you order and then they just set it in a special area for people to pick their stuff up. And the amount of traffic that walks into the store,
free stuff,
grabs the coffee and leaves is amazing to me.
Surprised more people just pop in and go, "Hey, what's up there? I'm going to grab that one."
Wow,
I'm surprised.
Surprised too,
especially
actually.
in more of the West Coast stuff with what's going on out there.
Kidding.
But yeah,
interesting. So anyway, Data Blanket, a new startup out of Seattle area developing small fleets of AI-powered drones that can perform self-guided missions to assess wildfires and automatically share that information with incident commanders and pilots battling forest blazes. So basically, a fleet of drones can go out and surveil forest fires. And
can we send them all to Canada right now?
Wouldn't that be something? And I'm sure this Bellevue, Washington-based company, actually backed by Bill Gates, just so you know who's behind it, has been providing demos for firefighting agencies, showcasing the drone's ability to share real-time images of a fire from a bird's-eye view. I can only imagine how valuable that is to somebody who's a fire commander or whatever.
Well, if you think about the mechanics of a fire, of a wildfire, forest fire, and what a drone or UAV is, that's the platform. You can put a whole bunch of different instruments on that to tell different things. So you can pick up the hot spots, thermal imaging, because what'll happen a lot of times they'll get something out or it'll burn back a little bit, but there'll be a hot spot. So the wind will pick back up and that'll reignite a fire. The ability to measure humidity, wind aloft, wind created by the fire itself, and the ability to predict little nuances in it's going to travel this direction or this direction or this direction, so that you can take that limited number of firefighters that's working a wildfire and put them in the right spot. I mean, from a logistics perspective, when you're bringing in all this data and making scientific, calculated assumptions and not guessing that, well, it might jump this road and go down that hill towards that town and burn that town up, or, well, the winds aloft are pushing it this way a little bit, even though the wind, because of the fire, is down this. All that data, it's invaluable. Absolutely invaluable.
The safety of our firefighters too,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you have a group of 6 firefighters going through a forest, not really knowing what's over the next ridge or whatever. If you can put a drone up in the air and just surveil what's around you and know that there's a wall of fire coming at you from a certain direction, gives you some more advanced time to maybe get to safety or what have you. So
get a fire break built and try to get it stopped. There's a road down there, an old logging road. You know, that's a good place to try to widen that area out and stop that fire. There's so much information that goes into that
and instead of having
in real time,
instead of having a plane that's flying over or a helicopter, you have a whole fleet of smaller aircraft basically collecting data at the same time and sending this stuff out. I can't imagine the value of that.
We can just ask Bigfoot as he's running out of the forest. Which way was that fire going?
I think we should recruit Bigfoot.
We could
to fight forest fires. I think that would be interesting as well.
Only you.
Instead of Smokey, we have Sasquatch.
I love the Sam Elliott Smokey Bear, by the way.
That is too funny.
Only you.
You do that well, by the way.
Thank you.
You do that very well.
I don't have his mustache, though. I can't pull a mustache off like Sam Elliott can, but.
So we were just talking about scams, phone scams. Phone scam targets Seattle area residents with callers posing as law enforcement. Victims of the calls have been told that they failed to appear in court to testify as a witness or failed to respond to a subpoena. The scammers claim that a judge has issued a civil fine, a criminal contempt of court citation, and or an arrest warrant for the call recipient. So
people fall for that, actually?
They're just scaring people. What do you mean I was subpoenaed? I didn't get a subpoena, or whatever. And then they're
I get emails like that occasionally.
Yeah.
I'll get scam emails. It's like, hey, this traffic cam. I'm like, we don't have traffic cams in North Dakota, and I haven't been out of the state. So this traffic cam picked you up, and if you pay this fine right now, otherwise there's a bench warrant. It's like, I can't believe people, they don't do that. People stop falling for that stuff.
Victims are told that the only way to resolve the matter is to pay a significant amount of money via Zelle or a similar money transfer product, or officers will find and arrest them. So this is obviously a newer scam.
And these are phone calls.
These are phone calls telling you that you've missed your court date.
See, now, I would screw with that. It's like, oh, well, where's the nearest officer? I'll go pay him myself.
I could see that.
Yeah,
you'd have a good time.
There are so many ways I could screw with that call.
Yeah. And there's just an officer right outside right now. Let me go pay that to them.
I'm going to pay that.
Here you go, officer. Here's $1,000 was via Zelle. Yeah, so I think I just think you have to be, and this is the thing, right? You make 1,000 phone calls, or you make 100 phone calls in a day, and you get one person to fall for
They're
it.
playing the numbers,
and they get $1,000 for it. Well, if you live in Russia, or if you live in wherever,
$1,000 a day is a lot of money.
I mean, it's a lot of money here in the United States.
It's a fortune in Zimbabwe.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you've just made your entire year's living off of one phone call.
One idiot phone caller in the United States who's dumb.
What the heck was that noise outside the studio just now?
I don't know.
It sounded like a horn of some kind.
Might have been that Sasquatch.
He kind of did sound like a Sasquatch.
Bigfoot show up?
Yeah, he's a little mad at us now because we gave away the fact that he's going to become a firefighter. Just saying.
So do you suppose he stomps the fire out with his feet? Is that what he?
Well, that would work, I suppose. Big enough feet,
supposed to stomp fires out, right?
Hey, on my next trip, I have the Kia EV6.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It is a sports utility crossover.
Sport utility crossover.
Supposedly 320-mile range with its...
In the desert.
In the desert. So I'll report back next week on how I feel about this vehicle, I guess. But it's... I'm actually kind of excited to try it out. I mean, I had the Volkswagen Polestar a couple months ago.
When are you going to drive the new Volkswagen bus?
So that doesn't come out for another year. But you and I have an invite, by the way. You don't know this.
Okay, I don't know this.
If we want to go to Michigan,
you can tell me and I'll totally forget about it.
Yeah. When I was at that event, and I just have to reach out, and they will actually allow us to drive one.
Really?
Yes.
Tour the
if
plant.
you're interested. Yeah. So we can go to Michigan if you want and do that. We should do that, actually. That would be fun.
Okay.
Maybe it's a September or October thing for us.
Well, I'm trying to think. I wonder when the Vikings are playing the Lions in Detroit.
Oh.
That might be the time to go.
Sure.
Ford Field.
Yeah. Yes.
Except we'll be at the Volkswagen plant. Let's work on that.
GM's Cruise says it's reached the robo-taxi industry's first union agreements.
Oh, okay. So now we're talking what?
Did the autonomous vehicles actually get together and collaborate and say, "Hey, we can't work these kind of hours anymore"?
It was the AI robots that were behind the wheel.
I mean, you read this, right? I mean, if I didn't know any better, if I was a younger person thinking that robots and things are taking over the world, you're like, wait a second. Robots are getting union agreements now?
Well, it's the union boss, you know.
So GM's
crime family involved with the unions
says it's reached the robotaxi industry's first union agreements. Cruise, General Motors robotaxi unit, said on Thursday it has signed the driverless car industry's first labor union agreements, a significant milestone as unions and robotaxi firms have historically been at odds.
What labor?
I'll just keep reading here. The company is partnering with 2 local San Francisco union chapters that represent electrical workers and janitors, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 6 and Service Employees Industry International Union Local 87.
So they're electric vehicles and somebody's going to have to clean them.
Reuters could not definitely determine if these are the driverless car industry's first union agreements. The agreement will employ dozens of workers who will construct and staff Cruise's car charging facilities. Cruise is creating new job opportunities for our members and providing valuable on-site experience for our new apprentices, blah, 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 blah.
So it's on the front side of these union contracts.
Yeah, so basically, that's exactly right. They're building charging stations. And you're right. I suppose the janitorial services means somebody has to clean these.
Well, if you think about
cars.
it, we've talked about this before, is, what's the future of transportation? Is it a shared vehicle and, autonomously, so you drive to work, but take downtown Bismarck, for example. Parking is at a premium and don't repark, you'll get a ticket.
Yeah.
So your vehicle drops you off at work and then goes home to the docking station or goes to the grocery store for you, runs errands for you, and then picks you up when you're done with work for the day. I mean, legitimately, that's the future of autonomous vehicles.
100% agree with that.
So, I dealt with this when I was mayor all the time. I'd get a phone call at least once a month about somebody who was a little upset that they came in on the 10:30 flight into Bismarck for business, and there's no taxi service or Uber or Lyft because somebody didn't feel like driving right now.
Right.
But
I've run into that myself.
You could have an autonomous vehicle or an autonomous fleet, or a hotel could have autonomous shuttle buses and pick people up at the airport or a bus station or a train station or whatever that looks like. So at that point, how many vehicles do you need? Because you also have ride-sharing opportunities with these different vehicles. The difference is, and I think this is a generational shift that's going to have to take place at some point, but we're in love with our transportation. We're still a car generation. I would say probably getting a little away from that with today's college kids to a certain degree.
Well,
but
go ahead.
Before that, we've got generations. We're in love with our cars.
We are.
I love my first car. I love my current vehicles. That's got to be a paradigm shift before I think we can fully step into that
But
future.
it's our generation to the younger generation.
Right.
I've asked this question many times with young people across the country in classrooms. And, what would you prefer, the smartphone or the car? You could only choose one. Which one is it? And you'll be surprised, I think, at what the answer is to that question.
The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
Let's get back to discovering the latest in technology with the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So generally speaking, what I do is I have everybody in the classroom raise their hands, right? And I ask, all right, if you could only choose one, what would it be? Would you pick a smart device or your driver's license in a car, right? And generally, it's the smart device. So
Now,
you'll have like 90% of the students, and it's a little competition that I have. They'll actually, each one of them has to come up and make their case to try to convince others to come over their side. The only time that's been different was in Tioga, North Dakota, when the driving side had convinced the smart device side that the cars also have smart devices built into them, so they'll be able to use their car for both. And that's when they started to win over. But it's the only time I've ever seen that happen.
So you speak at a lot of different classrooms around the country.
Yep.
And do you see there's a breakdown between posing that to urban kids versus rural kids as well? Because for most rural kids, an automobile is freedom and the ability to get out of the house a little bit. In the urban setting, it's like, well, but I'll just call an Uber.
That's exactly what's going on.
But we don't have that access or that accessibility in rural areas.
Right. I think when you have the ability of public transportation and then you combine that with a Lyft and Uber scenario, the kids of today, those 14, 15, 16 years old, they're not in any hurry at all to get a driver's license because they have access to any transportation they need already.
And I even see that in our community, and we're not a small community. We're not an urban community either, but you see that trickling down into smaller and smaller communities where, I get my driver's license when I need it. They're not in a hurry.
They're not in a hurry. It's not like you and I. Literally the day I turned 16, I was living in Washington State at the time. The day I turned 16 and it was legal for me to get a driver's license is the day I got a driver's license. I couldn't wait.
I got my farm permit at 14. I got my regular permit at 12. Farm permit at 12, regular permit at 14, and driver's license at 15 because you could.
On the farm in North Dakota, you could do that. Yeah.
And couldn't get it fast enough.
Yeah.
And actually, growing up, my grandparents had a cabin up in Canada on Lake of the Woods. And, I was driving when I was 7 or 8 years old because they were like, we're in the middle of nowhere. If something happens, you need to be able to drive.
And I think on the other side of that, too, our parents couldn't wait for us to get our driver's license.
Go to the store. Give me...
It also meant freedom to them. Because remember they're not our chauffeurs anymore, right?
Back then, though, when your parents would send you to, mine didn't smoke, but I know friends that their parents would send them to the store to pick up cigarettes.
Right, and they had to.
They're 16.
Yeah, and they had to bring a. But if they had a note,
bring a note.
Then they would sell them the cigarettes.
Or
it was crazy.
Small towns, it's like send them to the liquor store with a note.
I don't know of anybody who got away with that, I guess. But,
I do.
Unbelievable.
Because, they knew the parents.
Yeah.
Small communities, they knew the parents. Like, oh, yeah.
Here's your
Bob's kids, here's for his case of beer. Yeah. So, send it home with the kid.
That's funny. So, Waymo Robotaxi, since we're on the Robotaxi discussion here, is announcing that they're opening now in Austin, Texas. This will be the fourth city that Waymo will be in. They're also in Metro Phoenix, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. So Austin will be the fourth town now.
And these are autonomous.
Driverless robo taxis. How do you feel about that? How would you How would you feel if a taxi cab pulled up, or like you summoned a Lyft and an Uber, and it just pulled up and picked you up and took you to where you go? Well, that
depends.
And there's no driver in there at all.
That depends. If it's rush hour traffic and I'm getting in a vehicle because I just popped into the airport at Sky Harbor down in Phoenix and I'm going to a business meeting or where I'm going to be a little nervous.
Yeah.
If it's bar time and I could care less, that might be different. Well, I'm just thinking back to my youth, you know, but yeah. What's the hardest thing in our community? What's the hardest thing to do? You're not going to get a Uber or a Lyft, and we don't have a taxi service anymore because Uber and Lyft killed it. You're not going to get a taxi at bar time. So it's funny. I see the strides we made for safety and people making the right decision of not getting behind the wheel if they've had too much to drink. And in the blink of an eye, we just took 2 steps backwards.
Yeah, because there's no way.
The taxi service is gone.
Yep.
People aren't driving. Part of that was COVID, but people aren't driving. We don't have the Uber and the Lyft like we used to in the community. That was 2 steps backwards.
Yeah.
So it put people back into positions like, well, I got to get home somehow.
I'm really curious why Lyft and Uber is not as strong now as it was when I first started in this community.
The novelty wore off.
In other communities, if you go to Vegas or LA or whatever.
But those are large urban communities.
Plenty of people, and they're making their livelihoods with that. Do we not have enough people who need to make a living here?
Right.
So then,
first of all, there's a workforce that people just don't want to work. There's that piece of it too. But look at the times you have to work to make your money, and the metrics are set up for urban, not rural. So when you take a look at the financials behind these driver services, the Ubers and the Lyfts, remember the pink mustache? Yeah, is that still around?
I don't know.
So the metric for paying the people to drive, it's not the same. There's a big schism between urban and rural, and they don't pay out well enough in a rural setting to make a living at it.
My last Uber, or actually it was Lyft, in the Bismarck area coming from the airport, and it was a later evening one. I didn't think I was going to get anybody, and all of a sudden this guy, was showing up on my thing, and he come and pick me up. Big old Ford pickup truck. And he didn't look like your typical Lyft driver. So we got in a conversation. I always think people who are driving these things are usually pretty entrepreneurial, right? They kind of have that little bug inside them. This guy was an oil worker out west and was like 3 weeks on and 12 days off. And during those 12 days, he lived in Dickinson, and he's over here in Bismarck, Mandan, doing Lyft and Uber on those 12 days.
Nobody else to do it.
And he says, I make great money doing this. And sometimes I'll pick people up at the airport and take them to Dickinson or to Minot or whatever.
Now I
make a couple extra $100 that way.
Here's the other part with where we're at and some of the people that fly in on a regular basis for work like that. I've got a friend who's a Lyft and Uber driver for supplemental income, and he's almost opted out of Lyft and Uber because he's got regular customers.
Yeah.
So
they just call him.
They'll call him. He'll pick them up at the airport, and then where he makes the money on Lyft and Uber is he'll drive somebody to Rapid City or Dickinson or Williston or Glendive, Montana.
Yeah.
And that's the trip.
Yeah.
So he'll make the money on that. It was funny last year with, Sturgis is starting, and a gal that was flying in, the flight she could get was to Bismarck, and she was working for Sturgis for 3 weeks at one of the bars, and he drove her down to Sturgis.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But that's how the metric works.
Yep. Pretty amazing. So anyway, I would love to see a robo-taxi service come to our neck of the woods. I'm sure it would be.
In a rural setting, I
think it'd be a great experiment. So anyway, everybody, check us out at the Tech Ranch, thetechranch.com, and we'll see you all again next week. Thanks, Steve.
And that's a wrap on another fantastic episode of the Tech Ranch. Remember, if you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology. The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.